It's been since 2012 since the IMSA LMS series were here at Lexington, Ohio. And the Mid-Ohio Sports Car course since 1962 has been one of the foremost challenges for sports car and endurance drivers. We're back in 2018 as we bring top flight sports cars back to Ohio. Hello everybody, I'm John Hindorf for IMSA Radio and IMSA TV. Together, great to have your company for the Acura Sports Car Challenge at Mid-Ohio. Jeremy Shaw is in the booth with me. Shea Adam is our Continental Tire pit lane reporter, and Shea, I can see the back of the grid moving off from the pit lane. Has everyone got away?
Well, they haven't yet because they all haven't been cleared to move yet. And now that I say that, Kenny Habul takes the number 75 Sun Energy 1 Mercedes out of its false grid position. It is now rolling, which means that in 5 cars, 4 cars, 3, 2, and finally, 1. They're all gone, John. Everybody's ready to go.
It's the only time that Shea likes to see an empty pit lane. A number of the teams making their way back to their spots in the pit lane. Little bit of hand slapping between the competitors there. It's a friendly paddock here right now out on the track. It's about to get competitive. I love the atmosphere that is here this weekend. Jeremy Shaw, big crowd here at Mid-Ohio, particularly through the complex at the S's and Madness kind of area. People have been there, they've staked their claim to the best spot, also up high on the berm at turn 2, the keyhole. It's great to be back here with IMSA.
Yeah, this is old school. It's great to see so many fans. You're absolutely right, just like the old days that I recall here coming for the IndyCar weekends, and of course IMSA way back as well. There is a great atmosphere. The weather is certainly nice at the moment. There is a threat or a possibility of some showers later on, but I'm thinking positive. I've been all weekend. When we came here, the weather forecast today was pretty dodgy, but right now it's looking pretty promising. I'm going to stay with promising.
I like promising. Promising is good. 30% chance of rain, which means 70% chance of no rain, and that's what we've got to look at here. I'm neither a glass not half full nor half empty. I'm just, I need another glass in that situation. That's the way I always look at it.
I'll look to that.
Yeah, hey, chin chin. Let's get ready to go racing here at the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship. I'm really wound up for this because I've got a feeling we're going to see some exciting racing. 2 hours and 40 minutes, just long enough, Jeremy, to bring tactics into play. Our Porsche keys to the race, patience in traffic, be clean in the pits, manage the tyres, because this is not a high-deck circuit, so you can get a good long stint, maybe 2 stints. Will people change tyres, try and save a bit of time in the pits? I don't know. Manage that fuel as well. We've seen fuel runs here, and you added one to that in our Michelin Countdown to Green, and that's track position, because it is quite difficult to pass here. There are a few good places, but there's a few places where you're going to have to follow traffic through.
Yeah, and particularly when for the prototypes working their way through the GTD field. You know, the GTD cars have got good straight line speed, and they are sometimes difficult to pass. So you've got to pick your points, and you say patience is a key for the prototypes in particular. If they're following through the Madness section there, turns 5, 6, 7, 8, it's really difficult to force a move there, and it can be very risky, and it's kind of risk versus reward, and you need the reward, not the risk.
If you'd like to get in touch with us at the IMSA Broadcast Centre here on the finish line at IMSA Radio, settle yourself in, whether you're here trackside on 90.3 FM or on our scanner frequency 454 even, or around the world on the brand new for this weekend IMSA app. It's been updated, re-homologated, had a tweak, bit of a balance of performance for the IMSA app. Thanks for taking time out on your Sunday to join us here at beautiful, green and pleasant Mid-Ohio. Now, for those of you with longer memories, you will know that our finish line is not where we're going to start. The time will start, the 2 hours and 40 minutes will start when they come past our booth this time. Yes, so we have now started the clock, but we haven't started racing. The Acura NSX is in the pit lane, but we will not see a green flag till about a third of the way around this lap. That will be on the back straight heading down towards turns at turn 4. And now the Acuras are forming the field up at the front of the field. It's Helio Castro-Neves on pole position. Dane Cameron shares the front row with his teammate for the Penske Acura team. The two Mazda Yost team cars, 77, Ollie Jarvis. Hello, Chelsea. Keep breathing in and out. Chelsea, we do not want anything happening here. We want you to hear the whole race. Chelsea is about to add to the family in the near future. Jonathan Bomarito is the outside of the row. Green flag, and we are racing, and it's a great start by the two Acuras as they head down towards turn 4. 1, 2, 3 across the track. Down the inside, the Mazda has a little think about it, but it's not the right thing to do for Ollie Jarvis. He's side by side with his teammate as Bomarito might just sneak through there, and the two Mazdas are going to have to be very careful here. Ollie Jarvis holds on to third position. Does he? Yes, he does. And behind that, Renger van der Zande was just sniffing around, thinking he might make up a place in that very lovely glossy black Konica Minolta Cadillac.
That was a fun, clean start, wasn't it? Good to see the two Mazdas side by side there, giving good respect between those two. No pushing anybody off the road. Let's get on with the race.
No, but the 85 car has gone off the road, I'm hearing, as they come round to complete the first racing lap. It'll be Castro-Neves from Dane Cameron, just 0.3 of a second between them. Then Ollie Jarvis, then Bomarito, then Van der Zande, Barbosa, Gustavo Jacquemin. That's the Ligier in 7th position. They stream through, heading up to the keyhole now and into that right-hander. Castro-Neves turns in. Now what happens
to John Edwards? He fell back a long way.
Yeah, that was the, well, Robert Alon had an issue, and I just wonder if there was some little tangle there. The 85 car right down in the GT Daytona's. Hawksworth held the GT Daytona lead from Kyle Marcelli, his teammate. Let's have a look back at the start. Oh, it was an issue. John Edwards was held up by the spinning Alon. That was coming out of turn 6, and there was a Nismo in there as well that was going slow. The number 2 car's got a problem. Oh my goodness, Scott Sharp. And I think that car has got some kind of engine issue. It's looking very slow on the circuit. There are tyres on the wall. Shea Adam for this early Continental Time pit lane report.
Yeah, as soon as the TV screens popped that up, the entire ESM crew went to the wall. They have just gotten 4 Continental tires ready to go. These are not fresh rubber by the looks of them. They might have had one life cycle go through, but they are prepared to bring in the car if he can make it back. They're all watching the TV screens, trying to figure out if indeed Scott will make it back in. He's gone around this time, but every time that he comes through turn 1, there's a lot of smoke from the left rear of the car, and they are preparing a new engine cover for the car as well, John. So clearly a bit of contact to the rear of that Nismo.
Okay, so not the engine that's causing a problem, but a bodywork rub on one of the Continental tyres.
And there is damage to the back of the number 54 Acura Sports Orica as well. The one of the cheese wedges behind the rear wheel is loose on that car. That's flapping around. That looks pretty dangerous.
And an incident involving the 22 Patron Nismo and the 85 under review. I just wondered if there was a little bit of a touch on Robert Alon that's spun him around there, but it may have just been everybody checking up behind the 22 and not quite getting it done that's caused a problem as well. Scott Sharp was in that melee behind his teammate Johannes van Overbeek. The two Acuras, the two Mazdas, then a little bit of a gap. 22 penalty, that's a very quick decision from race control. Well done to them. 22 penalty, drive-through for Johannes van Overbeek. Incident responsibility. Top 4 are 2 Acuras and 2 Mazdas, 7.6, 77.55. Then about a second back to the first of the Cadillacs, Renger van der Zande in the number 10, Konica Minolta DPI VR. And he's got about another second on João Barbosa in the first of the 2 Action Express run cars. That's the Mustang sampling racing machine. That's your top 6 in GTLM. Porsches 1 and 2. Nick Tandy and Earl Bamber in formation for the Weissach built cars. ahead of Alexander Sims, and then Antonio Garcia is the first of the Corvettes. The second BMW, John Edwards, down in 5th position.
Robert Lalonde moving his way back past some of the GTLM cars. Meanwhile, it was Jonathan Bomarito in the 4th place Mazda car number 55 that set the new best lap of the race last time around on 1:15.1. The pole time, that was 1:11.837.
It's Jeremy Shaw bringing you up to date with everything that was happening there. Just a little nudge on the right rear by the left front of Johannes van Overbeek, and Robert Lalonde half spun coming through turn 6. But what happened behind was that they all checked up, and not quite enough to stop Scott Sharp getting a bit of damage on the back of his car, and the BMW of John Edwards having to take to the grass, which is a very dicey thing to do here with the amount of rain that's been here during the week.
Yeah, didn't have much choice. That number 2 car by the number 2 list, and we've heard of the penalty for number 22, hasn't yet served it, by the way. Number two car, the sister car, through second at Long Beach. That smoking looks very ominous. So car number 2, it's slipping back from the tail of the field. New fastest lap though, Elio Castroneves, 1:14.538. That's our race leader.
Scott Sharp reporting to the team over the radio. He was hit from the rear. It feels loose, and the team have confirmed there is damage at the rear of Scott Sharp's number 22, Nismo. Oh, and there's all kinds of bits of carbon fibre on the circuit as well, running down through turn 3. So if it's shedding pieces, that's even worse, as the GT Daytonas go through that area of the field. Hawksworth and Marcelli, the 2 Lexus lead, from Catherine Legg in 3rd for Acura, and then Madison Snow for Lamborghini. Into the pit lane, Scott Sharp, and let's take a Continental, excuse me, it's Johannes van Overbeek that's come in, and Scott Sharp is in as well. Sorry, yes, I thought I saw the number 2 light up with the blue P sign. So the 22 will drive through, and the 2 will come to a halt next to Shea Adam, who has this Continental Time pit lane report.
And before the crew are even going to assess any of the damage to the rear of the car, they are changing all 4 of the Continental tires. They are looking at the shards of carbon that have been peeling off from the rear of this car. They are tearing off little bits of rubber that have actually gotten as well, and they are looking to see how bad the damage is to the right rear of the car. It's missing its cheese wedge, which is allowing the side pod to wave around a little bit, but the thumbs up was just given. They feel that the car can continue in the current condition. It doesn't look that bad, so they are being allowed to go back out without repairing any of the damage.
If it's been rubbing on the tyre though, surely it'll rub on the new tyre, unless they've managed just to prise it away or do something to make life a little easier for that Continental tyre at the back. First and second in GTLM, Nick Tandy and Earl Bamber, the 2 911 RSRs, heading through turn 9 and onto Thunder Valley at the moment. The bright white headlights of those glorious sounding Porsches ahead of Alexander Sims in the 25 BMW, home turf for Bobby Rahal's RLL concern. Then it's Corvette. My goodness, the top 5 are almost as one in GTLM, with John Edwards onto the back of the field in the on the back of the top 4 in the number 24 car. Now, he got held up quite badly by that incident that turned Robert Lalonde around and saw Van Overbeek have to come into the pit lane. It might have been him that hit the back of the 2 car, actually. Certainly had to avoid it as it pulled in front of him. Nothing that John could do. So we might have to have a look at the right front of the 24 next time it comes through.
We can see this trail of the GTLM cars here. And I'll tell you what, not far behind them at all, just a couple of seconds behind them. And the 2 Lexuses is leading in GTD. And they've already pulled out 5 seconds, actually almost 6. In sight with just 6 laps completed over the rest of the GTD field. Wow.
Which is led by Catherine Legg in the first of the Acuras, the GT Daytona Acuras, that is. And Catherine has right behind her, championship leading 48. That's the Lamborghini, Madison Snow behind the wheel there. And then Dylan Matchevin in the BMW number 96, the Turner Motorsport M6, that still is, isn't it, of course. Then Justin Marks in the second Acura, and then Christina Nielsen. So already penalty for the Onrook, the Ligier Nissan, number 22, but Johannes van Overbeek is rejoined after that drive-through in 13th position. 35 seconds away from Helio Castro-Neves that leads. Jonathan Bomarito has the fastest lap so far, 1:14.347 in GT Le Mans. Tom Milner is in 8th position at the moment, but is barely 5 seconds away from the front of the field. More importantly, he's only half a second away from Ryan Briscoe, who is his target of opportunity in the Chip Ganassi Ford GT number 67 right ahead of him. Ryan Briscoe, had a chat with him this morning, caught our attention earlier in the week in one of the wet practice sessions when he came across the line in front of our commentary booth on the perfect racing line, but at about 85 miles an hour going backwards. Managed to save it.
Wasn't very seemly, was it?
Well, he did hit the wall, so I think that's a plus point. He was saying it caught his attention as well as ours. Not surprised. In traffic for the leading prototypes as Ollie Jarvis is trying to keep Helio Castro-Neves and Dane Cameron in the two Acuras ahead, trying to keep them in sight from the windscreen of his Mazda, and he's done better than that. He's closed down on them. And now he's getting pretty close to being able to put a challenge on. Top three are absolutely together as they go past the WeatherTech Ferrari through the carousel, the numbers 63. That was started by Cooper McNeil. And through the lead quartet go now, and a change of position as Bomarito catches his teammate in traffic. And Ollie Jarvis a little hung up there behind one of the Wright Motorsport Porsches, and Bomarito goes up into third.
And you talked about patience being a key here. The last lap time for the race leader was a 1:19.44. They had been lapping in the middle 1:14s. 5 seconds getting through that traffic cost the leaders. And as you say, it's 77 just ahead of the 55 there, but they have changed positions. So it's, again, that traffic is so key.
And for a moment it looked like, did look like Ollie Jarvis might be getting one of the Acuras ahead of him. Net result, he goes from third back down to fourth, but clear air now for the leading four prototypes. On the Thunder Valley, little sideways slide by Dane Cameron as he's keeping his teammate honest. Helio Castro-Neves, 0.2 of a second between those two. Coming in to complete lap number 10. This is a time-certain race, 2 hours and 27 minutes on the nose as they cross the line. Meantime, in GTD, Jack Hawksworth heads through the keyhole, pulling away from his teammate Kyle Marcelli. The two Lexus, easy to discern. The 15, the red car, the 14, the blue car. Yes, the red car and the blue car had a race. What is confusing to all of us, particularly Shea Adam, is the Canadian isn't in the red car. Neither is the Austrian, which is more of their colours. They're in the blue car. They've absolutely cleared off. They've made their bid for freedom. They're in another postal code at the moment. Catherine Legg doing exactly the right thing in the number 86 Acura with the pixelated colour scheme. Got to be careful where you park that, because you can easily lose it. It's sort of a urban camouflage, isn't it? Madison Snow with the black and red Lamborghini Paul Miller Racing Team leading the GTD Championship. Brian Sellers and Madison Snow have done a great job in the early part of this season. They don't believe they've got the fastest car here. They will take what points are on offer this weekend, I feel. And here come the leaders through that scrap for third on down in GT Daytona. And once again, the Masters have closed up in the traffic. And it's Bomarito this time who's having a go at Dane Cameron. These two know each other very, very well from their earlier career. Through the keyhole, Bomarito will want to get a good exit down the back straight. Oh, almost has to lift off, but he held onto the throttle pedal as much as he can. Gets a little bit of a draft from the GT Daytona Acura of Catherine Legg. Slightly defensive by the second place Dane Cameron as he turns into 4. Up over the rise at 5. Big crowd on the hill on the right-hand side. Now plunging down towards the right-hander at turn 6. And Bomarito just gently moving in onto the back of that Acura. The Mazda team Jost, dark red machine, very good in the technical sections. Over the top of 9, cars get a little bit light there. And now heading back towards the carousel, almost kissing the Armco barrier on the right-hand side before you line up for that long right-hander. In GT Le Mans, still the 2 Porsches, but now Alexander Sims closing in just a little bit.
Yeah, and right behind him is the Corvette number 3 and the BMW 24 and the Ford 66. So all the manufacturers involved there. A very short gap back to Milner and Briscoe. A little bit, another couple of interesting notes. In number 85 car, that is Robert Alon at the spin early on, cannot find a way past John Bennett. Johannes van Overbeek, by contrast, had that drive-through penalty. He's got past both of those two a couple laps ago and romps clear and just set his best for lap of the race at the same sort of lap time as the race leaders. Another change of position a little bit further back was what? I've forgotten now. Oh, no, your number 4 car ahead of number 67. They changed position last time around.
Yeah, that was Tom Milner on Ryan Briscoe. I said that was his target opportunity. The opportunity has been taken. Great battles going on down the GTD field as well, with Cooper McNeil right in the wheel tracks of Christina Nielsen. Sorry, just wondering what was going on outside the window for a moment. My attention caught by shiny things. It's like that. So Cooper McNeil right on the tailpipes of the Porsche of Christina Nielsen, battling for 7th, 8th, and actually Mike Shine and Ben Keating are right there as well. So that's 7th down to 10th in GT Daytona, and that is Porsche, Ferrari, Porsche, Mercedes, and in fact John Potter can't be that far behind that either in the Audi. He's gaining on that little train of cars as the leaders come down towards turn 4 again. Green flag racing so far. Let's keep it that way. Jonathan Bomarito with the fastest lap. 1:14.347. Castro Neves, 0.3 of a second on his teammate Dane Cameron. Acura 7 from Acura 6 from Mazda 55. Jonathan Bomarito closing in on the leaders again. And then it's the 4th place, number 77 of Ollie Jarvis. Van der Zande 3 seconds further back now in the first of the Cadillacs.
Yeah, and Robert Long's finally found a way past John Bennett and immediately set his best lap of the race in the 14s, which is the same sort of lap times as the leaders are doing, actually a little bit quicker last couple of laps. GTD battle there for 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th position, led by the Acura. That is car number 86 with Catherine Legg at the wheel. Right behind her is the pole sitter Madison, the front row qualifier, second row qualifier, sorry, Madison Snow. Then Dylan McAvern did a really nice job in that Turner Motorsport BMW, and Justin Marks in the second of the Acuras. A good 4-car battle there.
67 of Ryan Briscoe being passed by the leading trio. Now that Ford is a very quick car in a straight line, and they've just passed him going down the hill to turn 4 as if he had the parking brake on. Acura, Mazda that quickly, and the Mazda of Bomarito is right on the 2nd placed Acura again as they head towards turn 9, and the right-hander that leads into Thunder Valley. Cooper McNeil has another look going up the hill to turn 2 in the keyhole, and he's got Robert Alon coming through the traffic behind him as well. Comes out to pass Alon in the bright yellow prototype. Now, can Cooper McNeil use some of that momentum to get to the right-hand side of the track and try and outbrake Christina Nielsen, who holds the position that he wants at the moment? Wright Motorsports Porsche number 58 in 7th position in GT Daytona. The 2nd of the Wright Motorsport cars right in there. Michael Shine doing a very good job, Jeremy, to hold those guys ahead of him. Meantime, traffic has been an issue at the front of the field, and Jonathan Bomarito, no, he's back with them again as he went across the line. Castro Neves has pulled out about a second on Cameron, and Cameron is battling against Bomarito as the GTD field stream through Hawksworth, Marcelli, has now caught back up a little bit to Hawksworth, with Catherine Legg 13 seconds behind the two Lexus, and she's still got Madison Snow and Dylan McAvan right behind her. Those three battling for third, fourth and fifth in GT Daytona.
And Catherine certainly is trying to save as much fuel as she can. She knows the importance of that. Talked to her just before the start of the race, so she won't be worried too much about the pace. You just want to keep that track position and save as much fuel as you can.
Clear track ahead of Jack Hawksworth as Ryan Briscoe gets passed by Renger van der Zande, who is beginning to pick the pace up a little bit in that number 10 Cadillac, but he's still 3 seconds away from the top 4. He's got 2 seconds on Joao Barbosa in the number 5 Cadillac. Gustavo Jacobin another 2.5 seconds further back in 7th position in the number 52 Ligier. So all those guys fairly well spread out down to the FSPR1 Matheson Motorsport car of Gustavo Jacobin. Sebastian Saavedra will jump into that car later on in the race. Now, before something happens, Jeremy, a quick note about driver times here.
Yeah, minimum driver time is 45 minutes, so as long as they've completed 45 minutes, they are good to go for championship points. Let me just check. I think that's right, isn't it? Yeah, 45 minutes is the minimum driver time. So we are now, how long into the race? We're just at almost half an hour, so still a ways away yet from when they can illegally change drivers and go to the end with just that one driver change.
And this is where the tactics will play in. Let's take a quick Cadillac update for you. At the front of the field, Elio Castroneves in the 7 Acura leads the 6 by 3/4 of a second. That's Castroneves from Dane Cameron. Bomarito 0.3 of a second, and right on the tail of Dane Cameron as they went past us that time around. Ollie Jarvis is another second further back in 4th position. Your top 4 pulling away 7, 6, 55 and 77. In GTLM, it's Porsche, BMW and Corvette. That's Nick Tandy in the 911 Porsche, Earl Bamber in the 912, Alexander Sims in the 25 BMW, and Antonio Garcia now under a second behind the BMW ahead of him in the number 3 Corvette. GTD, the Lexus, pulling away from the field and pulling away to more than 13 seconds of a gap. Jack Hawksworth leads from pole position in the 15 Lexus. Kyle Marcelli in the 14 is about 2 seconds behind his teammate. Then Catherine Legg heads a train which is now 4 cars deep behind her. The 86 Acura in 3rd position. That's your Cadillac update, because real racers never take a break.
And what's interesting is how much difficulty the overall leaders are having in getting past the GTLM cars. The last couple of laps, 1:17 for the leaders. That's 3 seconds off their pace. They're sort of slowly working their way through, but it hasn't been easy. Finally now, Elio Castroneves has some breathing space out front, and all 4 cars have finally got past all of the GTLM cars. So they are now good to go, and we'll see how the lap times come down again for the leaders over the next few laps.
Michael Shine, after I was mentioning him, has just been nerfed off the track at the top of the circuit at the keyhole by Ben Keating, and has dropped way down to the field. It's already been reviewed by the race control officials. No action taken as Ben Keating came hard up the inside and had 2 Continental tyres on the curbing there and just turned around, half turned around at least, Michael Shine. But that right Motorsport Porsche is still going, albeit after a grassy moment. Christina Nielsen still heading that train, but Ben Keating now has moved up a position. So that is now Christina Nielsen in the Porsche in 7th, Cooper McNeil in 8th, and Ben Keating in 9th. Michael Shine has dropped to the back of the field in 12th in GT Daytona.
And that's a new entry for this round of the championship, number 16, a second of the Wright Motorsports Porsches. Wolf Hensel, a long-time factory driver, will be driving alongside Michael Shine.
For all the non-long distance races, I believe, is the plan at the moment. Top 3 go past us as one. Castroneves, Cameron and Bomarito. I can't say their names quick enough as they go through turn number 1, and there's a huge amount of traffic ahead of them. This is going to be very interesting. Kenny Bull's 75 Mercedes is the first one that gets blasted by, then John Potter, and he just about leaves enough room for the Mazda of Jonathan Bomarito to get through, but this is very dicey indeed for the leaders. Now, can Dame Cameron make some advantage here? He's under pressure He's the man in the middle at the moment, trying to attack and defend at the same time. And the master of Bommarito, for a moment, is held up by the Christina Nielsen, Cooper McNeil battle in the Porsche and the WeatherTech Ferrari, the red and white Porsche and the white and black Ferrari. And Cooper McNeil has a look down the inside into the Acura area of the track on the far side of the circuit as he was going under the Acura bridge. But he couldn't make that one work there, just not quite enough of a run. This is allowing Ollie Jarvis to catch back up to his teammate. Finally, Bommarito gets by Cooper McNeil, but these guys are battling. Uses the aerodynamic downforce and the additional grip to go around the outside of Christina Nielsen into the carousel, and the two Acuras are as close as they have been for a while, just 3.5 tenths of a second. Castroneves still leads with now 2 hours and 14 minutes to go.
They are indeed, but Jonathan Bommarito got badly held up on that lap. 1 minute 20 for Jonathan Bommarito in the third position, so he's lost all of a sudden 4 seconds to the leaders, having been right on their tail at the beginning of the previous lap.
Traffic giveth, traffic taketh away, and he was stuck in behind Cooper McNeil, who was battling with Christina Nielsen. Neither of those two GT Daytona drivers doing anything wrong. They're in their own race, but proving, as we said in the Porsche Keys to the Race, how you have to be patient in traffic, because there are places that there is only one line. Even when you've got all that aerodynamic downforce of the prototypes here, sometimes you've just got to follow the car in front for a couple of corners.
Absolutely right.
Across the line for the 86 BMW. For the 86 Catherine Legg, rather. 96 Dylan McAvan is in the BMW. Let's take a Continental Tire update before we explode into more action. Shea Adam is with Stephen Simpson.
Out of the 99 Gainesco Red Dragon, Stephen, this battling has been absolutely bonkers. You said it's exciting to watch, but are you more excited to get behind the wheel, or for now, are you okay sitting here?
I want to get back. I want to get in this car and go out there and have some fun as well. But it is a great race to be a spectator for at this point. So I hope all the fans out there are enjoying the race.
How difficult is it to pass the GTLM cars? Because it looks like it's been a handful for the prototypes.
Yeah, it's difficult. Those GTLMs they've got a lot of corner speed and they brake almost as late as us as well. So if you don't get by them going into turn 4, you really gotta be patient all the way until you come onto the main straightaway. So yeah, you definitely have to be patient. But honestly, looking just watching the race so far, I think all the drivers, prototypes and GTs, everybody's doing a good job.
Stephen Simpson with that Continental Tire update from Shea Adam as the leaders are side by side for the second time this lap. Acura on Acura action at the front of the field. Helio Castroneves is using every trick in the book and all of his experience to keep his young teammate Dane Cameron behind him. They're up to the 54 of John Bennett, who's got a little bit of damage to the left front of that car, and that may be slowing him down.
Yeah, well, yes, but they can't find a way past Cameron. Look who's right in their mirrors again. All of a sudden, he was 4 seconds back on the last lap because the Acuras haven't been able to get past John Bennett. Now they're going to go up the inside going into turn 2, and I'm sure John will let them go. But look, the Mazda is right back with him again in that third position.
And if he gets a
4-second gap in one lap.
In one lap, yeah. And Elio was defending pretty stoutly through the S's and over the top at 5 last time with Dane Cameron alongside for a couple of corners while Shea was talking to Stephen Simpson in the pit lane. Here comes Bommarito, and Ollie Jarvis has come through as well. So the top 3, having beaten the gap between Cameron and Bommarito of 4 seconds, the top 3 now within 3 seconds.
Indeed, yeah, good bit less than that, and top 4 within 3 seconds.
Yes, excuse me, yes.
But we had a good illustration there of the straight line speed with that Orica Gibson of the Core Autosport entry, car number 54 with John Bennett at the wheel. In the later stages of this race, it's going to be really interesting. If Richard Goikhberg can keep that number 99 car and/or Gustavo Yacob number 52, they can keep right there in contention, which they are right now. They're only a dozen or seconds or so out of the lead. It'll be very interesting to see what might happen in the late stages.
I wonder if they've just rolled a little bit of aero off those cars to give them some pace down the tubes. They're losing out the twisty stuff, as we saw there. It doesn't help that John Bennett's number 54 car has lost one of its front dive planes, the aerodynamic device, a little flick up on the front fender, the front wing there underneath the headlight. Meantime, If you want a bit of a battle, go to GTLM. John Edwards and Antonio Garcia in traffic, going past the number 75 Mercedes AMG of Kenny Bull as they go past us. Fancy John Edwards is going to try and have a look up the inside. Oh, that's a very brave manoeuvre from Antonio Garcia, who goes underneath to driver's left. Oh, and a bull's gone off. A bull has gone off right in front of the 24 car. He somehow holds on to it. He's going to have grass in the grills, though, and he might just lose a position there as well to Mike Shine, who is coming through in the second of the Wright Motorsport Porsches. At the front of this queue of traffic is the other Wright Motorsport car, and that is Christina Nielsen, who's been passed by the GTLM leaders and has got one of the prototypes coming through there as well. Kenny Bull just going wide, under pressure, going for a bit of a wild ride. It was a very bold manoeuvre by Antonio Garcia, but he got it done way before the exit. He didn't force that car out there. And the number 2 going through there as well, the recovering Scott Sharp after the rubbing tyre from him earlier on. Did drop off the lead lap, by the way, Scott Sharp.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of...
Well,
he's not. No, beg your pardon. No, he's not, is he?
I think he's just one. Well, he's nearly 2. He's going to have to... He won't be that far ahead of the leaders now, as he's picking his way through traffic at the moment. The 22, Johannes van Overbeek, is in 10th position after his drive through for contact with Robert Alon earlier on. Through go the 2 Acuras, 3/4 of a second between them. Bommarito now 3/4 of a second behind them, and Ollie Jarvis 3/4 of a second behind them. There's a certain sense of symmetry at the front of the field. 7, 6, 55 and 77.
And you like that symmetry, don't
I do like I do like things to look good
but they don't
on the timing screen. Yeah, the wrong orders. Should be 6 from 7, but 55 from 77. I quite like that. Dust being kicked up as Porsche and as Ford and BMW go at it. That's the 66 of Dirk Muller and John Edwards. They're battling over 5th and 6th position in GTLM. The BMW has it. The Ford wants it. They're at turn 4, and they've got the 31 coming through there as well of Eric Curran in 11th position. He's about half a minute away from the leaders, picking his way through that traffic. He's got pressure from behind as well, because Robert Alon is there in the bright yellow car. So the red prototype and the yellow prototype in amongst the GT Daytonas and GTLM cars are battling for position as they go over the brow at 9 and onto Thunder Valley, coming back towards our commentary point here. 2 hours and 7 minutes still to go in this race. I'm going to have no voice left at the end of this one.
Yeah, and I'm going to be expecting, by the way, not only to have no voice, but also the pit stops fairly soon now.
Yes, good point.
We're almost 40 minutes into the race, and probably the next 4 or 5 laps we will see the prototype cars beginning to come along pit lane.
Kenny Bull comes to the pit lane. Shea Adam is watching the AMG GT with this Continental Tire pit lane report.
They asked Kenny on the radio if he could stay up, but then the temperature started rising a little bit too much, and yeah, the radiator is packed full of grass. They have tires up on the wall. They're going to leave him on the same Continental tires that he went out on for the warm-up lap this morning, started the race, and did not qualify on. Oh, he started to move before the fueler had pulled out, and fuel began to spray a little bit. He had run wide through turn 1 and gone well off the course and deposited fewer dandelions than before, more grass. That will be an additional penalty, though, because he did try to leave the pit box with equipment still attached. So that will be another trip to the pit lane for the number 75 before they can come in about, what, 6 minutes time and do their driver change.
Well, they may, having topped him up, leave him out a little bit longer and open up that window and wait for a potential red flag. 34 minutes completed. Castro Neves and Cameron now 1.6 seconds between them, and a further 1.7 back Bommarito, ebbing and flowing in traffic. Such a quick lap here at round about a minute 14, a minute 15 for the leading cars, that you get back into that traffic very, very quickly indeed. Ollie Jarvis a second behind his teammate, then 5.6 seconds. So the leading car separated by 4.5 seconds, and then there's 5.5 seconds back to the next group of cars, which is headed by Renger van der Zande in the Wayne Taylor Racing, the Konica Minolta Racing, should I say, Cadillac number 10, and Barbosa has just peeled off behind that car. I was just about to say Barbosa was beginning to close in the number 5 Cadillac, and he hits the pit lane. This is the first scheduled pit stop from the leaders, and Shea Adam will give us the Continental Tire pit lane update.
Of course, for the prototype category, when you're not running with an AM, you can change your driver at any point, and that is what is happening. Bob Barbosa getting out of the number 5 Mustang sampling Cadillac DPI VR, and it is Philippe Albuquerque getting his first racing laps. I've said that a lot this year, I will continue to say it, around Mid-Ohio Sports Car course. They've already changed right sides. They're working on the left side Conti right now and getting Philippe belted in, taking a windshield tear off while they've got the opportunity to do it. Driver's side door goes back down. A little bit of trouble with the left rear. Fuel stuck. And Philippe is off.
That's pretty good, that, despite the fact that it wasn't 100% clean at the left rear, putting that new Continental tyre on. And confirmation of the penalty for the 75 Mercedes AMG. Parts still attached when Kenny and Bull tried to drive away. Just back to the Mustang sampling team, and our Porsche keys to the race clean in the pits. It wasn't clean on the left rear, but it didn't cost them any time, and they didn't panic. The reason it didn't cost them any time was because the fuel was still going in and the tyre was sorted before the fuel hose came out. So that was good, sensible work at the left rear of the car, not to try and rush things and perhaps cross-thread the centre lock bolt. It was done sensibly and the car left on time. That's the sort of heads-up thinking that you've got to have. Through the pit lane in front of us, the 75, serving the drive-through immediately, Kenny Abul, and will rejoin at the back of the GT Daytona field, which is led at the moment by Jack Hawksworth. And they've still got 2 Lexus, and now 5 seconds apart, and then it's 16 further seconds back to Catherine Legg, who leads the rest of the charge. Catherine doing an absolutely splendid job to hold back. So very quick cars. She's not waving around. She's barely even taking a defensive line most places. She's just hitting her marks and driving through, rolling off the throttle. None better than Catherine Legg at saving fuel. Right, let's get back to the front of the field, because the 2 Acuras are together and driving side by side into turn 2. That might give a little opportunity for Bomarino to go up the inside of the Dane Cameron number 6 in second position. And here comes Ollie Jarvis as well, as for a moment it was 3 cars across the track coming out of the keyhole. Top 4 call it together. Ollie Jarvis is barely 10 car lengths behind the trio ahead of him. It seems to me in clear air the Acuras have the performance advantage, but Bomarito and Jarvis are demon through traffic.
They are, and I'm sure at this stage in the race the Acura Team Penske drivers will be just saving as much fuel as they can, extend this stint until they have to bring their cars onto pit lane.
38 minutes completed. How far will these leading runners go? It's so close to the metal fence on the right-hand side before they duck left into the kink before the carousel. Almost kissing the wall there. Big bump in the middle of the carousel has been a bit of a worry to some of the cars, but these prototypes are riding it well. Leader Castro Neves goes through past Cooper McNeil through to turn 1, as does the second place car. Third place car held up a little bit. Bomarito will have Jarvis right with him. Jarvis shows his nose coming up the hill, but isn't quite close enough to his teammate. Remember, Ollie was running as high as 3rd, but he lost out in traffic to his teammates. These 2 guys, though, will be working together. They will not want to slow each other up and let those Acuras get away.
This is physically and mentally particularly very intense for the race leaders here. Elio Castroneves, he's not used yet to this form of racing, particularly not this sort of sprint race format. He's done, well, he did Long Beach, of course, but that was even shorter race than this. But, this is a different, the GTD cars weren't there at Long Beach, so this is sort of a new phenomenon for him, and it's not easy to adjust to. You've got to be concentrating every moment of every lap. Not to say you don't have to in an Indy car, but with what you don't have in Indy car racing is cars with such big performance discrepancies.
And you don't come up on lap traffic as often. That's it. It's basically like having the Indy cars, the Indy lights, and the Star Mazda cars all out there at the same time. Into the pit lane, the first of the leaders, Jonathan Bomarito, the 55 Mazda, is heading to Team Yost.
They are putting the fuel nozzle in first before they run around the far side of the car from the pit wall, changing the right side tires. No driver change as of yet. Jonathan Bomarito, who has been a superstar in the race so far, is just getting a new set of Continental tires and a whole lot of fuel to take him a bit further into the stint. And now they pull the pit board back. They are giving him a windshield tear off as well, and fuel still going on. Car comes off the air jacks, 2 liters fewer than when they last ran at Long Beach. Do the Mazda DPIs have, do all the DPIs have, as a matter of fact, but it still takes a long time. Now the fueling is done, and Jonathan cleared to leave with a nice burnout.
And that is about as good as it gets. However, that was Mazda Team Yost, so I would have been surprised if I was seeing anything else. He's dropped behind Scott Sharp, and the 22 of Johannes van Overbeek went through there as well, rejoins and heads up the hill. So that's the first of the leaders. Let's take a Cadillac update and remind you of what is going on as the pit stops are about to start their head of the field. Let's start in GTD, where Jack Hawksworth leads for Lexus. The 15 has over 6 seconds of an advantage on his teammate in the 14, Carl Marcelli. Catherine Legg still holding on to third, but is 16 seconds further back down the road and leads a train of 4 cars battling for third position. GTLM, Porsche, 912 is in second, 911 leads, and then 5 seconds now the gap between the 2 Porsches back to Alexander Sims in the BMW, and then he's got a Corvette, a BMW, a Ford, a Chevy and a Ford, all in pretty close attendance, the whole field within something like 15 seconds or thereabouts. At the front of the field, with the first pit stop being taken by Jonathan Bomarito, he's come back out round about the 7th position. It's Castro Neves by 0.6 of a second. The pole-sitting Acura leading his teammate Dane Cameron in the number 6 car, and now just 0.3 of a second as they went across the line from Ollie Jarvis back up to third position. But clearly all of these guys owe us a pit stop. 8.5 seconds further back in fourth is the Cadillac of Renger van der Zande, the number 10 car. Then it's Gustavo Jackerman in position number 5, but he's another 7.5 seconds further back. That's your Cadillac update as the pit stops for the leaders are due anytime soon. Your Cadillac update on IMSA Radio, because real racers never take a break. It'll be another lap at least for the leaders as they go through, and Ollie Jarvis has got a real chance here because Dane Cameron hasn't had a clean run into the first corner. Jarvis takes a big dive down the inside of the Corvette and manages to get through. Here comes the number 10, Renger van der Zande, into the pit lane, heads towards the Wayne Taylor Racing Crew for the Cunningham & Alta black number 10. And
it will be fuel and tires as Renger van der Zande comes to a stop perfectly on the marks. They don't even pop open the door, not even giving him a new drinks bottle. It's Renger van der Zande's first time racing at Mid-Ohio Sports Car course. He's getting new Continentals on the rights, and we'll wait and see if they do new Continentals on the lefts as well as they run around, and yes, they will. 4 tires for the number 10, and the pit board has come down for the number 77. Oliver Jarvis will be coming onto the pit lane here shortly, but a lot of people starting to react to what the Mustang sampling car started. We have a pit board down now for one of the JDC Miller Motorsports cars as well. Perfect pit stop for Wayne Taylor's boys on that black number 10 as Renger van der Zande goes back out with a fresh set of boots.
That was a heck of an in-lap from van der Zande. He did the fastest second sector, middle sector of anyone on his in-lap, and that's exactly what you've got to do. Brilliant stuff. This is good management as far as the Acuras are concerned of the fuel. And Ollie is in the pit lane. Ollie Jarvis, that is, in the second of the Mazdas. So that's perfect timing, and he comes to a halt right now.
Nails his stop, and as soon as he gets there, they put the fuel nozzle in, and then the air hose goes up. They have opened the passenger side door, if you will, of the number 77 Mazda. Looks like a new drinks bottle for Oliver, as they have changed the right side Continentals. They are working on the lefts. Fuel still going on, so there is no time lost. The hand goes up from the engineer at the back, and now the hand goes up from the engineer at the front. Fuel's still going on, though. This is taking the longest of the pit stop, which is exactly how you would hope it would be. As the 99 comes into a stop again, the Red Dragon for its first pit stop. Perfect job by the Mazda Team Yost crew. And the 99 leaving Misha Goikberg behind the wheel, but he will also be getting fuel and 4 new Continentals.
So out goes Ollie Jarvis effectively for a double, and this has started a slew of pit stops, just under an hour and 55, just on an hour and 55 to go. So that's 45 minutes completed, and the two Mazdas. Now let's see, Jarvis has got ahead of his teammate Bomarito on the pit stop cycle, so going that one lap longer in clear air has helped Ollie Jarvis, and he's got a good couple of seconds. Both the Acuras are in together. 7 is pitting ahead of the 6, and they had to come round each other there, but it's been choreographed perfectly, and there are line changes at Penske Acura.
There are, and just as you would expect from Penske, they have a car separating the two pit boxes because they entered two separate teams, so they will never have to pit in line throughout the entire season. Fuel and tires going on. The number 6 comes off the air jacks first, and they drop the car down. It looks like there's a little bit of drama, though, at the front of the car. Oh, no, it was just cleaning off the headlight. Still waiting on the fuel to finish. The 7 is cleared to leave before the 6. They're side by side on the pit lane. Who is going to get out first? Well, the 7 is right away. 6 might be ahead by a nose. It is Ricky Taylor in the 7, and he is indeed in front of car number 6.
Race to the pit lane exit on the limiter. That was very close indeed. That was shades of Corvette a few years ago here, but you wouldn't expect anything else. Perfectly choreographed. Here come the Mazdas. Here come the Mazdas. Right on the tail of the two Acuras, and they're up to speed. They'll sweep through the first corner, and the top 4 are together, but the Mazdas have got heat in their Continental tyres, and there's an immediate change at the front of the field as the 6 goes through on the 7, and that means that Dane Cameron leads Ricky Taylor. So Cameron stayed in the car. Ricky Taylor got in the car, and here come the Mazdas. So that was interesting. Cameron, who is up to temperature himself, having started the race, has jumped Ricky Taylor straight away, but Ricky fights back and then lifts off in front of the Mazda. Bit of a brake check there as round the outside goes Ollie Jarvis. He's not having that. It's Mazdas either side of the Acura, and through into second place goes Ollie Jarvis. Clean move, Chelsea. Don't worry, keep breathing.
Yeah, brilliant move. And again an Acura and Mazda side by side. This time it is Bomarito that makes the move. Exactly as I suspected through the opening stint. The Acura's just kind of controlling the pace, extending their fuel stint. They were the last of the prototypes to pit. That is significant. It's very interesting, certainly, that the Mazdas there, having been out 4 or 5 laps on their new tyres, were able to make up some really good laps there and get right with and even split now the two Acuras. This is a fascinating motor race.
What's interesting to me, Jeremy, is that Dane Cameron stayed in the 6 car and was immediately more up to speed than Ricky Taylor was able to get. Maybe he wasn't just quite comfortable enough, but Ricky didn't make it hard going into turn 2 for Dane to go through. He let him go, but he just wasn't up to speed and got mugged by both of the Mazdas. A very clean move by Ollie Jarvis around the outside into turn 4 when it looked like Ricky had just checked up a little bit early. Maybe he's just still finding his feet there. And then Bomarito pulling the same manoeuvre around the outside, further around that same complex. Right, let's catch up on a few pit stops in GT Daytona. Shea Adam will give us this Continental Tire pit lane update.
As soon as minimum time was met, we had a couple of very important driver changes going on. Your timing screen will now read P. Long in the number 58 Wright Motorsport Porsche, J. Bleekemolen in the number 33 Riley Technology Mercedes, A. Lally in the number 44 Magnus Audi, and B. Oberlin in the number 96 Turner BMW. This is about to get fun.
Yes, and if you don't know any of those names, go and look them up. I like the way that was delivered. Thank you, Shea. So with the first set of pit stops for the prototypes completed, here's how it stands. We'll take another Cadillac update here. It's Acura number 6, the second place starter, Dane Cameron, who stayed in the car and now leads from a new second place. Ollie Jarvis, who stayed in the Mazda Yost Racing Team, number 77. He's about a second away from the lead. A second further back, Jonathan Bomarito, he stayed in the 55 Mazda and is now in third. Ricky Taylor is new to the number 7 Acura, the pole-sitting car, and that car has gone from first down to fourth since he came out of the pits. He's getting himself up to speed. There's a net gain as well for Renger van der Zande, who is now less than 10 seconds away from the lead and only 4.5 seconds away from Ricky Taylor in 4th position. In GTLM, the pit stops are starting there with the number 24, John Edwards, getting out of the RLL BMW M8. And Jesse Krohn, the Finnish driver, will be getting in. But at the front of the field, it's Porsche and Porsche, Tandy from Bamber, as it has been since they made their break at the start of the race. BMW number 25 is in 3rd position, but they're all split by around about 14 seconds. The top 7 in GT Le Mans. Great stop by Team RLL. That car already rolling again. We'll wait for the first pit stops in GT Daytona at the front of the field because the Lexus are still out there. Hawksworth and Marcelli, 5.7 seconds between them. That's been fairly constant. Catherine Legg in the 86 Acura doing an absolutely brilliant job to hold back Madison Snow in the 48 Lamborghini, Justin Marks in the 93 Acura, and Cooper McNeil now in the 63 Ferrari after the pit stop for Christina Nielsen, who has done the mandatory 45 minutes. Catherine Legg just pulling a little bit of time in the last few laps back on the Lexus. It's down to just under 14 seconds. It was as high as 16.5 at one stage, so maybe that Acura coming to life at the end of its fuel and tyre stint. But no one is anywhere near Jack Hawksworth in the 15 Lexus. That's your Cadillac update with an hour and 50 minutes to go. Cadillac, real races never rest. What a first start, what a first stint to the race. And Ollie Jarvis, brilliant stuff. And he's just set the fastest lap of the race, Jeremy, chasing down Dane Cameron. That's interesting difference in strategy there. Yost team leaving their 2 drivers in the Mazdas. Acura and Penske, well, they split their strategy.
Yeah, and Ricky Taylor, as you're saying, surprisingly struggling to get up to speed. He's fallen 4 seconds behind the 3rd place car, let alone the race leader.
But now puts that car's fastest sectors in 4th position, and has now put the fastest first sector of anybody in the whole race for sector number 1. So maybe he was just getting his tyres up to temperature a little more circumspect than the others, and that's not a bad thing because he'll be in that car for 45 minutes. And what's the worst that's happened? He's 7 seconds away from the leader. He's certainly not out of this, and there's going to be a new fastest lap here, I think. 1:14.2, and these are heavy cars at the moment, full of fuel. Fantastic manoeuvres up at the keyhole and then down towards turn 4 when that position changed, with Ollie Jarvis taking the opportunity as soon as it was presented to him, with Ricky Taylor just looking for his breaking point, perhaps into turn 4. A 14.6 last time around for Ricky Taylor. Philippe Albuquerque weighs in with his car's fastest lap of the race, a 14.8 in 6th position for the number 5 Mustang sampling Cadillac. Now that car was the first car in on the pit stop schedule, some 8 laps before anyone else, and Albuquerque has worked that car on its Continental tyres and is now turning up the flame on that one too. Still waiting for the GTLM pit stops. They will be going for probably another 5 or 6 minutes, I would think. Round about the hour for the GT Le Mans cars. Shay, any sign of movement at the GT Le Mans pits?
Definitely. I would say that the Corvette racing crew looked the most ready, then followed by Porsche and then Ford. The Fords are still sitting on the wall, those Ford mechanics, but now tires have been picked up by the Corvette crew for the number 3. It looks like they will be bringing in Antonio Garcia first, and Jan Magnussen now standing up on the wall, so the 3 is coming in imminently.
Shea Adam with that Continental Tire pit lane report. I'm taking a little breath at the moment because it's about to get exciting again as Ollie Jarvis is right up with Dane Cameron. This now not the battle for 2nd and 3rd as it was a few laps ago before the pit stops. This is now the battle for the lead in the Acura Sports Car Challenge here at Mid-Ohio, part of the IMSA WeatherTech Championship for 2018. We're live trackside, XM Sirius around North America, flag-to-flag coverage, and we thank them for the use of their airwaves this weekend. 90.3 at the track on FM and around the world on the IMSA app. and IMSA Radio. Now, GTD, finally, the lead Lexus is, no, it's Marcelli that's in. It's the 14 car that's come in, the blue car, and Marcelli comes into the pit lane. This is the first of the leading GT Daytonas.
Driver change, Kyle Marcelli out, Dominic Rahman in. See, it threw me off. I talked about the red and white flag people driving the blue car and then forgot about it myself. There's quite a bit of grass in the front of the Lexus, though. They should clean out the radiator, at least give it a swipe of the glove. They're not bothering with it yet, as the 3 Corvette has also come in now. The number 2 still shining on the side of that blue Lexus, as they have changed all 4 tires, just waiting on the fuel to finish. For the number 2, Scott Sharp's come in. Ryan Dial will be taking that car back out. They have 4 Continental tires and a lot of fuel for the prototype. 14 pit stop is done. It was very, very clean by the 3 GT crew. The Corvette pit stop is almost done. The driver change has been completed, and Ian Magnussen ready to go, just waiting on that last little bit of fuel for the Corvette. He has 4 new Michelin tires, has restarted the car, and is now being urged to leave by Dan Binks at the front of the car, and does just that. Number 2 stop still going on. The fueling is still in, so they are not losing time, but it was a slow driver change. They had a bit of trouble getting the belts on for Ryan Dial on the right-hand side. Now they've done that. They've given him the signal to leave, and the pit board starts to wave for the number 63 Ferrari, and in comes Cooper McNeil, a very, very busy boy this weekend. He was out in California doing a race yesterday. He's got another one to do today. If he's not too excited from doing this right now, he's getting out. Balzan is getting in, so 1 tall driver out and 1 small driver in. The GTLM leader is in. That is the number 911. Nick Tandy brought it in, and Patrick Pile will take it out, as well as the 48, the Paul Miller Racing Lamborghini. It's brand new Michelin going on the number 911, as well as the fuel. Right side tires are already done for the Porsche. Now working on the left. Patrick happily waiting his chance to go out. He wants a bit of redemption for what happened in morning warm-up. Owned up to it completely in our countdown to green, which I was very impressed with. 63 Ferrari has left the pit lane, and Alessandro Balzan goes back out for his 2nd race at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, the first one being in 2013 when he won the Grand Am Championship. The service is still going on for Paul Miller Racing. It is Brian Sellers, the hometown hero, who is driving that now. There is a problem out on the track as the 911 gets away cleanly. I'll keep watching the 48, John.
Thank you, Shea. 48 is the championship leader, of course. Yes, problem for the Mazda of Ollie Jarvis. Off the circuit, I think, for a moment. No, check that. That was Jonathan Bomarito, who dropped back for a moment on the grass. No, I'm going to go back. I always go with your first thought. It was Ollie Jarvis coming out of the keyhole. And a little moment or 2 ago, 2 Core Autosport run cars coming together. The 54 with Colin Brown cutting across the front of Earl Bamber, who is now in the pit lane, and there will be some damage to the right front of that Porsche 911, with Colin completely misjudging, coming back across in front of the GT Le Mans car, which is now with Shea Adam.
It's not terrible. Yeah, it is missing the dive planes, but it's nothing that they are worrying about or going to take the time to fix while it's in. They have done the driver change, so now it is Lawrence Van Tour driving that car. They're waiting on the fuel as it comes off of the air jacks, and the 4 tires are already changed. Earl jumps back up over the wall. Still the fuel plugged in as the number 93 Acura MSR car comes in. That is Lawson Aschenbach taking over for Justin Marks. Fuel and tires for the Acura. Fuel probe comes out now. 912, and Lawrence aims straight at me on the pit wall. And yeah, he's missing the front 2 dive planes, but it's no worse for the wear.
Can't imagine that Earl Bamber will be very pleased about that. Colin Brown, as I say, completely misjudging, pulling back in front of the car that is run by the same team as the prototype. Just to remind you, at IMSA Radio on Twitter, if you want to get in touch. I've just seen this from the very lovely Tiff Niddell, who's watching and listening back in the UK. Good evening, Tiff. Just after 7 o'clock on a Sunday evening there. I've worked with Tiff a number of times, and it's always been entertaining, as we've got a problem for the turn of BMW coming through turn 1. That's been grass cutting as well, and that's going to cost the 96 car a lot of ground. That's Bill Oberlin in that car. Brian Sellers has already gone through, so he's lost 5th position, and I think I saw also going through Pat Long in the 58. Now, did he jump or was he pushed? That's the question. Let me quickly get to the action at the top of the field a couple of moments ago. Oh, it was side-by-side contact the 77 and the 7 got together. So it was Ollie Jarvis. Ricky Taylor's got by Jonathan Bomarito and retaken third position, but then just hip-checked Ollie Jarvis off the track. Now that might get him a drive-through. You've got to leave enough room on the outside for the car that's there, and I'm afraid Ricky didn't there, and he's excitement trying to get back up the field.
It was awfully tight, wasn't it, with all the GT cars in there as well.
86 is in the pit lane. That's Catherine Legg. Come to that in a moment. That looked very clean. Yeah, Tiffany Dell has been on social media. Tiff, always love working with you, always entertaining. He said, I love Mid-Ohio. The great bit is the track, the green stuff isn't. Hashtag end of. Tiff, as succinct as ever. Enjoy the rest of the race. More from our Continental Tire pit lane reporter, Shea Adam.
GTD leader is in. That is the number 15 Lexus. Jack Hawksworth has jumped out of the car, and it's David Hennemeyer Hansen's time. The 96 Turner BMW did come into the pit lane steaming. Its brakes look like they're on fire. They are still smoking as Bill Oberlin takes the car back out onto the racetrack. A lot of smoke coming from the front end of that car. They cleaned out all the vents, but it looks like there's been quite a bit of damage done. 15 has done fuel and tires. The car comes off the air jack. They are cleaning out rubber and grass off the front of the car. And the fuel hose still plugged in. Now the car goes back into gear. They were doing a little bit of work on the wing, which was quite odd. Fuel hose still in. Tommy Milner has come in from the back of the GTLM field, at least that's where he started. And there was only one way to go as the 15 exits the pit lane. And there was number 2 on the side of his car as he came in. Still waiting on fuel for Tommy Milner as he jumps out. And it is now Ollie Gavin's turn to drive around Mid-Ohio Sports Car course. He's won here as many times as the number on the side of his car. That would be 4. Let's see if he can make it 5 today.
Shea Adam with that pit lane report at IMSA Radio. Coming down to an hour completed, so those pit stops for the Corvette, or for the second Corvette, right on the hour mark, as Ollie Gavin goes back out into the fray, and he joins in behind the 24th Jesse Krohn. So has dropped back into 8th position. At the head of the field, Ollie Jarvis has just put another fastest lap in. In comes the 25 BMW from the lead of GTLM. Shea Adam? Shea not there. I will watch this one for you. It's a new set of Michelin tyres for the number 25. Driver has been changed. Alexander Sims has got out. There's a bit of shoulder barging from the team car as well a moment or two ago. Connor De Filippi getting in to the 25 car on the pit lane. It's down off its jacks already. New set of Michelins have been applied. That new M8 in its FIA WEC debut at the weekend yesterday, in fact, at Spa. Creditable result for them by all accounts. The Porsches and the Fords with the advantage at Spa. Quite some advantage in the GTLM category. So that should be Connor De Filippi's name that pops up on my timing screen as he comes out the pits. It is indeed.
And that will leave number 67 Ford, which you remember running at the tail end of the train in GTLM. That stays out the longest, and once again, good fuel consumption from that Ford GT. Could that be significant later on?
Yes.
It could be.
Yes, it could be.
They had fallen quite a fair way behind, so we shall see. Ryan
Briscoe didn't seem to be very racy early on, and Richard Westbrook, who we know is Richard Softfoot, as we found out at Laguna Seca a couple of years ago when we said, well, he can't go to the end from there, nowhere near it. Well, he might be able to get close to the end. It'll just be a splash. Well, he seems to be good. He's going to run out of fuel. He's won the race. How's he done that? And that wasn't just us doing that. That was everybody down the pit lane as well. All right, let's go back to the action. Acura and Mazda. That's where it's been at all day today. And Dave Cameron and Ollie Jarvis are at it again. There's a BMW between them. That's Connor De Filippi. But that's been dealt with by Ollie Jarvis. Ollie has always been impressive in whatever he has driven. Remember, a former Audi Works driver, got into the Audi squad and was looking to make a career for himself there just as Audi were forced out of the FIA World Endurance Championship by internal politics at Volkswagen AG. And Ollie, I am delighted to say, knuckled down to make sure he was going to get other work and has found gainful employment around the world in a number of different series, and at the moment he is pressing on. He is the fastest man on the circuit with a 1:14.239 a couple of laps ago, and he's worrying the leader being Dane Cameron. Both of these drivers been in their respective cars since the start of the race. Traffic hasn't worked in the favour of the Mazda driver this time around. Those GTDs getting very close together behind, and that's the number 3 Corvette of Jan Magnussen and Joey Hand and Conor De Filippi all there as well. De Filippi with his teammate Jesse Krohn behind him. That means that Joey Hand's got, check that, Jan Magnussen I think has got ahead of all of them. No, certainly ahead of the 2 BMWs. Joey Hand is still up the road in the Ford. So that means Ryan Briscoe leads but owes us a pit stop. Laurent Vantour is second for the 912 Porsche. Then Patrick Pilet in the 911 Porsche. Then the battle that is going on with Joey Hand now up into 4th, Jan Magnussen into 5th, Conor De Filippi down to 6th, and 7th, Jesse Krohn. That's how it stands, I reckon. But that'll change any second now.
Mazda is all over the tail of Dane Cameron as they head into turn 1. Here is the keyhole now, heading off down the back straight. He's pulled out a little bit in the last couple of corners, getting past that Porsche GTLM car. But this has been a really good performance once again by the Mazdas.
Extraordinary stuff at the front of the field. This has been sheer concentration and application. Our Porsche keys to the race: manage your fuel, manage your tyre,
67
clean in the
John,
pits.
excuse me, on pit lane, so he went a lot longer than anybody else in GTLM.
And be patient in traffic. Those are the Porsche keys to the race. And that was a long, long run for Ryan Briscoe. And Shea Adam is watching the pit stop.
It was a long run, and he is being rewarded by being pulled out of the car and handing over to Richard Westbrook, whose boots did look vaguely pink, so they might be the Fluffy Bunny slippers. But driver change going on. They've already changed all 4 of the Michelins, just waiting on the fuel, and the driver change to be complete. The Gullwing style door goes back down, and Westy is cleared to leave the pit box. Porsche just now going through with the 912, and Westy's going to come out into 2nd place.
That is a huge gain for the 67 car. Huge gain. Vantour just went through there, and Richard Westbrook will join in. Now, where has he come out on the track? The Porsche's gone through. The 67 car of Westbrook is just going through now. The 66 is definitely up at the top of the circuit. Stuck behind the Lexus at the moment, which has been a change, by the way, in the Lexus order.
Yep.
And that was a 5.8 seconds difference when those cars pitted. Dominic Baumann now leads in the 14 Lexus in GTD from David Ennemeyer Hansen in 2nd. Alvaro Parent has held on to that third place that Catherine Lake was stoutly defending, and has now Brian Sellers for company in the 48 Lamborghini. So the cars are the same, the numbers are the same, and it's the 93 Acura behind that with Lawson Aschenbach, although he's dropped to 8 seconds behind that battle. It's just a new set of drivers doing battle in that fabulous GT Daytona battle from 3rd downwards. In GTLM, it'll be Laurens Vantour that leads, and there he goes across the line in front of me in the 912. Where's the 911? Here it comes now and crosses the line. So that's Pilet in 2nd. Now let's wait for the Fords and see which one of the Fords comes through next. It's not a Ford, it's a Corvette. That's Ollie Gavin that's gone through. But is he a lap down now?
No, the Fords were ahead. They went through together.
Right, okay.
Absolutely nose to tail, just a second or so ahead of the number 3 Corvette, and then the 2 BMWs. So the BMWs certainly lost out during that round of pit stops.
And Westy has got up into 3rd position ahead of his teammates. So that's a really good gain there by the 67 team. Ryan Briscoe doing a great job early on, and Richard Westbrook now do they turn up the wick, or do they do the same again? Well, it worked for them, so maybe they run to their fuel numbers, which is, I'm sure, what is happening. Credit to Brad Goldberg, the brains on the pit box, for working all these numbers out. An hour and a half, if you want to be pedantic, 91.5 minutes. plus whatever lap the leaders are on, of course. But this is a timed race. Weather good, skies all right, bit of high clouds. No rain worries at the moment after a very pessimistic forecast just 6 or 7 days ago. We had all of the wet weather you could ever want on Thursday and Friday. Generally speaking, it's been clear since then. Chip Ganassi Fords 67 and 66 together in lockstep on the track.
We're going to have to watch that back. Towards the front of the field was second place now in GT Daytona. David Heinemeier Hansen, it won't be long before Alvaro Parent and Brian Sellers are right with him. That's the battle for third and fourth, closing up on the second place car with Dominic Baumann now well down the road.
Yeah, that's a 5.8 second advantage that this 15 car had when Jack brought it in. He's now a 17 second deficit. Great battle in GT Le Mans, the two Fords, Corvette, then both of the BMWs, separated at the moment by an errant prototype as it comes back through. That's the 52, isn't it, of Gustavo Jackerman coming through there. And it will be just a little distraction for the moment as Jackerman comes through past Ollie Gavin, past Jan Magnussen in the number 3 car. If it was Ollie Gavin, he would have got into the wrong car and been getting told off by Doug Feehan. Ollie Gavin sitting in the 4 car. He's, you know, the whole field is still only in GT Le Mans about 20 seconds apart, 18 seconds apart.
Yeah, that's
actually.
right. And the two Porsches certainly pulled out a little bit. There's about 8 seconds between them, and then a 3-second back to, well, pretty much everybody else. Oliver Gavin off the tail just a little bit, a few seconds, but not very much.
Notable, Jeremy, that the two pairs of cars that are together at the front of GTLM, the two Porsche and the two Ford, both swapped round during the pit stop cycle. 911 was leading when Tandy brought it in, it's now second. 66 had a lot in hand, pun intended, before Joey Hunt took it over, and Richard Westbrook has benefited from Ryan Briscoe going long. So it's 9-12, 9-11, 67-66 now, and 25-24 for the BMWs as well. So De Filippi, who stayed out the longer of the two, also benefiting from staying out there that longer time. That's just showing you how long it takes to get the tyres up to pressure and temperature when you first come out. There's a big advantage. Talk about in Formula One, getting in early, getting the advantage of the new tyres and getting the faster laps in earlier. Well, this has been exactly the opposite.
Yeah, and that's because in Formula One, of course, they have tyre warmers. They go out of the pits on a nice, fresh, brand new set normally of red hot tyres or optimum hot tyres. Whereas here, the drivers have to do they have to be the tyre warmers themselves. They've got to move that car around, create some friction, create some heat, and that is what gets the tyres into their optimal operating window. And that is the trick.
Leaders are back together again in traffic, and Ollie Jarvis can smell P1 at the moment. Dane Cameron has it. They go across the line into turn 1. A little trail on the brakes. Was there just a slight mistake by the Acura driver? Didn't quite get to the apex of turn 1. It doesn't seem to have slowed him down, but he's gone defensive up the hill, right from the middle of the road. He's behind the 54 of Colin Brown, who is in 14th position in the Core Autosport Orica.
That's right, and right directly
and it's fast
ahead
in a straight line, that,
exactly.
by the way.
And directly ahead of him is Ryan DeYell and the number 38 car, which is on the tail end of the lead lap. So the race leaders to the back of this train of prototypes, number 6 and number 77, they're not going to have any favours getting past these 3 cars in front of them. This is going to be pretty interesting. Now, again, this is where the patient comes in, and Ricky Taylor, who has clear track behind him, has just had a new fastest lap of the race in car number 7. So it's now the Acura having set the fastest lap of the race, having been the Mazdas that have been kind of trading it, or Oliver Jarvis in particular, for quite a while.
Very surprised we didn't see anything about the Taylor and Jarvis incident. I didn't even see it being looked at. Maybe the Klingon cloaking device was on the 7 Acura. We've been relatively lucky with penalties not being called on them. I seem to remember Petit Le Mans last year when they wiped out another car completely and didn't get looked at or called. Cameron and Jarvis together behind this traffic now.
That's right. And as a result of that, the third place cars closed in a second on each of the last 2 laps. So it's number 38 car that is struggling to stay on the lead lap. There's the train of these cars. And then behind him is number 52, then number 54. They are both already 1 lap down, so trying not to go 2 laps down. And then the race leaders go now through turn 5.
Loving this racing, and so is the big crowd here at the Acura Sports Car Challenge at Mid-Ohio for the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship 2018. XM Sirius live across North America and of course to the world on the IMSA app and at IMSA TV and radio. Hope you're enjoying this. It's an absolute barn burner in the green and pleasant countryside of Lexington, Ohio. What a great place to come at this time of the year. The leaders still tied together with a very short bungee cord. They go past us now and cross the line. Jarvis still that very tight 0.3 of a second gap between himself and the Acura. He's in the aero hole that the car is making ahead, but that means his front wings aren't working well and he can't take the pace through turn 1 that he wants to. Got to get out of the keyhole very well. Will he swing slightly wider? Yes, he does, and just squares off the corner a wee bit. Tries to get on the power early, but that Acura is very fast. So is the Oreca. The Core Autosport Oreca very quick in a straight line, and the Acura is not getting anywhere near making a pass down into turn 4.
It's not, Johnny, absolutely right. And since the last round at Long Beach, there has been a slight balance of performance changes. By the way, the Mazda's retaken fastest lap of the race, and this is car number 55 now, Jonathan Bomarito.
Brilliant.
At a 13.945. But since the last round at Long Beach, the DPI cars, i.e. the Cadillacs, the Acuras, the Mazdas and the Nissans, they've all had about 3% of their top end speed knocked off in order to bring them back into line with the overall competitors of the global LMP2 cars. That's the Nissans and the Orecas, all of which have the same Gibson engine.
So the Legiers and the Orecas, yes. Across the line, don't worry, there's excitement going on out of the window, and that took Jeremy's attention there. Jeremy Shaw, John Hindhaugh in the booth for IMSA Radio and IMSA TV across the world, and it's Shea Adam, our Continental Tire pit lane reporter. And the leaders now with GT traffic as well to have to deal with, and that's Maro Engel in the 75 AMG GT that's just been disposed of by the leading pair. Ricky Taylor is coming, and coming quickly, in the number 7 Acura, and Jonathan Bomarito is right with Taylor now. So 2 pairs of battling Acuras and Mazdas for the lead and for 3rd position. Cameron and Jarvis, 6 and 77, almost touching as they go down towards turn number 6, and they have the championship leader in GT Daytona right ahead of them. More contact was there between the 6 and the 54. It was very close.
It's a great move by Dane Cameron there, and Colin Brown. Now, is he going to hold up the rest of this pack, or is he going to let them go through?
Oh, he's got to let them through, surely.
I hope so, certainly.
This is poor driving by Colin. He's laps down.
He's now 2 laps down.
Yeah, exactly. And Ollie Jarvis will be on the phone to the pits. He's not going to be very happy about this. All Colin's got to do is lift off the throttle going up the hill and allow that 2nd place car through. And it's a huge gap now. 3 seconds Jarvis has lost, and that's all down to Colin Brown not being very smart.
Not being very respectful, at least, of the leaders. And
also what's happening is it's allowing Ricky Taylor to catch up the 2nd place car.
Yeah, he's been closing up at a 2nd a lap, literally the last 6 laps. So that gap from 2nd to 3rd has been down from 7 seconds down to just 1, or less than that. But I was just looking at the trap speeds. The top speeds come before the race, after the warm-ups, all the way through the weekend. The Acura actually has set the fastest trap speed. Number 7 car at a 173.7. 172s basically for the global P2 cars, 171 for the Nissan. The Cadillac, 167. That's 5 miles an hour down.
Change. No, I was going to say change of position. The Acura ahead of the Mazda, it is, but that's 3rd and 4th. Jonathan Bomarito is now right behind Ricky Taylor, and Ollie Jarvis is in sight of those 2 now. Now, who was that peeling off into the pits?
38.
It was James French in the 38 car, so that still doesn't help poor Ollie Jarvis, who's lost another 1.5 seconds last time around. Did he get by the 54 of Colin Brown? By the way, Ryan DL in the number 2 Nismo-powered Ligier has just set that car's fastest lap of the race at a 14.5. That's not hanging about. In GTLM, Richard Westbrook is beginning to pressure second place Patrick Pilet. So Westy not doing the fuel run. He's been set on full attack mode. Very interesting. It was Ryan DL who went the long stint early on. An hour and 20 minutes to go. Here's your Cadillac update. Dane Cameron leads for Acura by 5 seconds now. And that's all down to Ollie Jarvis being stuck behind the 54 of Colin Brown for a couple of laps and more, as the 31 peels into the pits. That Philippe Nasser in the wheel and engineering car. Third, Ricky Taylor closing in on second. Fourth, Jonathan Bomarito closing in on third. 6, 77, 7 and 55 as Taylor's in the pits. Taylor is in the pits. We'll come back to our update and go to a Continental Tire pit lane report with Shea Adam.
4 new Continental tires going on that number 7, and a lot of fuel. No driver change and no extra drinks bottle for Ricky, as he is perfectly happy to stay in the car. A little bit further up in Mazda land, they have prepared their second driver. Spencer Pigot does have his helmet on, and Tristan Nunez is getting ready to take over for Ollie Jarvis. Fueling is done now as Ricky does a nice burnout. He was telling me the other day that because their pit box is on an incline, they can't help but doing a burnout as they leave, and Ricky is done with service.
And already rolling towards the end of the pit lane.
So on the first stint, the Acura went longer than everybody else. Now it's in early, and the reason for that is the Penske team splitting their strategy. They don't need to be in just yet, but they can get to the end of the race now with making one more pit stop.
Correct.
So they are now on a strategy whereby they can get to the end on one more pit stop. Everybody else has to make 2 more pit stops. So in this race,
it's about 40 to 45 minutes for the prototype cars, if you think of it that way, and we've got just under 80 minutes left to go. So that's the thinking from Tim Cindric and Roger Penske on the pit lane there for Acura. Now Ollie Jarvis has gained a bit of time back on Dane Cameron, so I'm suggesting that he's managed to get by the recalcitrant 54 of Colin Brown as Philippe Albuquerque pits from 5th position. Let's do a quick update then while Shea watches that. Here's your Cadillac update in GTD. Lexus. Bauman now 20 seconds up the road from Hennemeyer Hansen. And as Jeremy suggested a wee while ago, Alvaro Parent has caught him. And the second Lexus, the number 15 car, has the 86 Acura right on his tail. Brian Sellers now in 4th position, Parent having gone through. And Brian Sellers also right there, just another half a second further back. 2nd, 3rd and 4th in GTD, absolutely together. Vantour has pulled out a handy 7-second lead in the 912 Porsche ahead of his teammate Patrick Pilet in the 911. Richard Westbrook is now just dropped away a little bit to about 1.5 seconds in 3rd in the 67 Ford. Great pit strategy there to get them up the field. We're right at the back, remember. And in fact, as I say that, he's just closed into half a second as the 4th place GTLM car is Joey Hand, and he is just another second behind. At the head of the field, Acura, Mazda and Mazda in the pit lane. That's your Cadillac update. Jonathan Bomarito has brought the 55 into the pits.
And he has gotten out of it at his Spencer Pigot's turn to drive. They're doing a windshield tear-off for Spencer and 4 new Continental tires. A lot of fuel being put into this car to ensure that it can get to the finish with no coughs, no splutters, and run full attack, as the Japanese manufacturer has been known to do. Revving the engine, now Spencer Pigot is cleared the lead, and he does just that. For the number 5, the Mustang sampling Cadillac, when it came in, it was fuel and 4 tires, not even a drinks bottle change for Philippe Albuquerque.
Just wonder, thank you, Shea, I just wonder what the last stops are going to be like. How long can that Acura go? How much fuel did they put in it? Will they short fuel it on the way in? Bit of weaving going around from Van der Zande there as he is under pressure from, excuse me, not from Van der Zande, from the 5 of Philippe Albuquerque. He's come out right in front of the Acuras, and he's trying to get some heat into the tyres. We'll come back to that fuel thought in a moment, because this is a significant situation here for Cadillac number 5. Philippe Albuquerque with the 7 car right on his tail. How's he managed to do that? Meantime, the 77 Mazda is right up with Dane Cameron again. So that has that battle has continued on. Both of those cars, of course, yet to stop. Go back to my thought, Jeremy. This is quite tricky by Penske, I think, because what we don't know is how much fuel went into the cars at those times. Bit of bodywork coming off the 5, maybe there. We're right next to the 6. That was the leader, Dane Cameron. Yes, that was my first thought. Came from the 5. Confirmed that from our eyes and ears in the TV truck here at the circuit. Bubba Clark, thank you. That little voice in my head that I hear once in a while to pass me great information, as we've got IMSA TV and radio together. I mean, it could come down to who has the shortest last splash of fuel.
You know, there's two different strategies. There's a big, what it boils down to is a big sort of window within which you can make your final 2 pit stops. There's going to be one short stint in this race. Question is, when do you take that? Do you have the last stint being short or this second stint being short?
Yes.
The number 5 car, for example, they took their very first stint short. Nobody else did. But this stint, the number 7 car had a short stint. It now needs 2 full stints to get to the end. The number 6 car and the number 77, they will go as long as they can before they make their pit stops. And what this does is, if there's a full course caution, you're covered both ways. And that is what Mazda, in particular, did not do at Long Beach.
Yeah. Oh, and there's a touch right ahead of Ollie Jarvis between 2 of the prototypes fighting further down the field, being the 54 of Colin Brown, who is not in the battle with the 5 ahead of him. He's a lap further back than that. And Colin's just driven up the back of the 5. Can't think that Philippe Albuquerque will be overly happy about that. And once again, he's holding up Ollie Jarvis here. And Ollie, I think, will be losing patience just a tiny bit here.
And that's the thing, you know, if you make your pit stop, where are you going to come out? Well, where are you going to come out?
Yeah.
That is the critical thing. Are you going to be behind somebody who's going to hold you up?
Ricky Taylor going very well in the first sector, fastest of anybody there. This is rather uncharacteristic of Colin Brown, I have to say. I like Colin, he's a very good driver. But between him and the team, they are not being respectful of the battles around him for the lead at the head of the race. In comes Renger van der Zande, who was weaving around a little bit, trying to stay on the lead lap. Also lost some bodywork to the back of that car. Shea Adam will have a look at that as another pack of cars come out of the keyhole and head down the hill, including the GTLM leader, Laurent Vantoux. No, check that. That's Patrick Pilet with Richard Westbrook closing in on him and closing in and going by him. That was a long way back from Westbrook. That was a super maneuver down into turn 4. So many cars, and he made it look easy. It was clean as a whistle, and following him through, here's Joey Hahn putting some pressure on the back of Patrick Pilet as well. Richard Westbrook set to full attack mode. They've let him off the leash at Ford Chip Ganassi Racing.
Well, you know, not long ago, it was the 2 Porsches were pretty much out in front in the lead in GTLM, weren't they? Well, no longer the case. I mean, the second place car had a good 3 seconds over Westy, and that has been more than erased.
Shea Adam can tell us what happened with the number 10 Konica Minolta Racing Cadillac.
Just about a perfect pit stop again for the number 10. It was fuel and tires, as well as a driver change. Van der Zande out and Jordan Taylor in.
2 Taylors. Your 2 Taylors on the circuit at the moment. Cameron with again a 4.5 second lead to Ollie Jarvis, all down in the traffic. Such a difficult place to get by here.
Yeah, good lap there for Dane Cameron in the lead at 1:14.6.
And that will be his last lap before he comes into the pits. Activity down at Acura Team Penske right opposite us, and the sure sign that something's happening is that the IMSA officials are there, as is Shea Adam, who will give us the Continental Time pit lane report when that car comes into the pit lane. Meantime, the battle for second in GT Daytona is hotting up, and the red Lexus, David Hennemeyer Hansen, has got the 86 pixelated grey Acura of Alvaro Parent behind him, the black and red 48 Lamborghini of Brian Sellers, and Lawson Aschenbach is in there as well in the pixelated pinky reddy 93 car. I hadn't thought about that when I started that sentence there, had I? So 4 cars battling for position there. Bill Auberlen is another 26 seconds further back, but still holding 6th position. So 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th in GTD absolutely together. Meantime, Westbrook in 2nd. He's trying to close down the gap on Vantour. And Joey Hand has got Jan Magnussen for company.
So number 99 car has just pulled onto pit lane out of 3rd place. That's Mr. Goikberg. He will hand over to Steven Simpson. That now finally has allowed Ricky Taylor to get past, because Ricky has been held up by Mr. Goikberg, or hasn't been able to get past Mr. Goikberg for several laps.
Also coming in the 55 Mazda, and that car shouldn't be in. There must be a problem for Spencer Pigot. He was only in a couple of laps ago.
They're checking the tires on the car. They brought out new right side Continentals, but it's going to block the number 77, which has come in and pits right in front of it. The number 6 has come in. That is the Acura Penske. The leader came in. Dane Cameron will jump out, and Juan Pablo Montoya getting in. They are doing 4 new Continentals for both the Mazda and for the Acura. The Acura gets a windshield tear off. The tires are done on the Acura. The tires are almost done on the Mazda. Now they are. Now Juan Pablo Montoya cleared to leave, and the 55 Mazda pulls out right behind it. The 77 still waiting on fuel, still up on the air jacks. Now the air jacks come out, the fuel hose goes. The 77 Mazda is cleared to leave as well, as the number 4 Corvette joins the pit lane party, and they are going to do fuel and tires for Ollie Gavin.
It's interesting to see there, Jeremy. The 55 car came in first of those 3, but leaves behind the Acura of Juan Montoya. So there was clearly an issue. Spencer Pigot had only been out, I think, for 4 laps. So clearly an issue. Shea will get the report in a moment, I'm sure. So Montoya now in the 6, Nunez now in the 77. Ricky Taylor has been in the Acura for 6 or 7 laps now. Albuquerque has been in the 5 Cadillac for a wee while. Jordan Taylor's just got into the 10. The Cadillac in 5th position. Steven Simpson now in the Gainscore 99, the Red Dragon car.
Number 5 car has come out ahead of number 10 in that round of pit stops, actually by quite a long way. Out for the Albuquerque, way ahead now, 5 seconds ahead of Jordan Taylor. Those 2 had been the other way around.
And a new 2nd place in GTD as Alvaro Parent disposes finally of David Hennemeyer Hansen, who's been fighting really well in 2nd position in that Lexus, the red Lexus, the number 15. Parent's gone through, and Brian Sellers is right there as well. 2nd, 3rd and 4th still together, but now Parent freed will be able to try and set off in pursuit of Dominic Baumann, who's built up a huge advantage since he passed his teammate. He's already heading up towards the keyhole, and those guys haven't finished the lap yet. That's how far he is ahead. He's got the leader right behind him at the moment. Check that, he's got 2nd place right behind him. Ricky Taylor leads the motor race by 6.3 seconds after the 2nd round of pit stops. Here's your Cadillac update. Acura number 7, Acura number 6, 6.3 seconds. 8 seconds further back, Tristan Nunez in the 77 Mazda, and most of that time caused by traffic and the problems that car caused for the 77 car. Another 14 seconds further back, Philippe Albuquerque in the number 5 Cadillac. Then the 10 Cadillac of Jordan Taylor, another 6 seconds back from that. We've spread everybody out at that pit stop, and that's all down to dealing with the traffic. In GTLM, Lawrence Vantour still leads for Porsche, but now it's Richard Westbrook in 2nd place, 9 seconds in arrears. Patrick Pilet, a further 3 seconds back now in 3rd position for the 911 Porsche team. And he has got Joey Hand and Jan Magnussen right there within a second of his back bumper in the 3 Corvette and the 25 BMW. Great overtaking manoeuvre, by the way, by Alvaro Parent on David Hennemeyer Hansen. Went to the right hand side of the circuit, dummied to the right, went to the left down into 4, and then toughed it out round the outside, had the inside for 5, and that was the pass made. In GTD then, it is Dominic Baumann from Alvaro Parent. 19 seconds is the number that you have to remember before David Hennemeyer Hansen and then Brian Sellers and the rest. That's your Cadillac update, because real racers never take a break. Just over an hour and 5 minutes to go. Let's check in with Shea Adam and have a Continental Tire pit lane update on that problem for the Yost Mazda.
Spencer Pigot had side-to-side contact with the GT car. He was hit by the 75 Sun Energy 1 car. He thought he had a tire going down. It felt as if the car had a puncture. They brought him in, they checked the 4 tires, and they changed them just as a precaution. But after they checked the tires, they realized that there was nothing wrong with the Continentals, which is worrying because that means it could be something else going wrong on the number 55 Mazda.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Shea. Thank you. Our Porsche keys to the race: patience in traffic, clean in the pits, manage tyres and fuel, and track position. That's what we were talking about in the Michelin Countdown to Green. And with an hour and 5 minutes to go, this is still all up for grabs in pretty much all of the categories. At the moment, the biggest gap is that of Dominic Baumann in the Lexus leading GT Daytona, just over 19 seconds. And our last Cadillac update, we're live trackside from Mid-Ohio. IMSA TV and radio together, also on XM Sirius across North America. Good afternoon if you're out and about and listening to us on that broadcast media. And also, of course, on the all-new IMSA app for this weekend, IMSA.com and IMSA TV. And streaming in sound and vision on RadioLeMans.com. The audio, as ever, on RS2, which is IMSA Radio, on the player part of the Radio Show Limited network of channels. So no excuse not to keep up with the whole of the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship season. It's the Acura Sports Car Challenge at Mid-Ohio. And it's all going wrong for Mazda. Team Yost, well, certainly for the 55 car. And also coming in, Joey Hand for his second pit stop with an hour and 3 minutes to go. I'm not sure he can go to the end from here. That will be an economy run. I'll keep an eye on the Ford. That's going to get a new set of tyres. Joey Hand stays in the car. Full tank of fuel. And the 55, Spencer Pigot. Oh, what a shame for Spencer. This has all gone wrong after that side-by-side contact. It's the right rear shear that's being looked at.
It's the same thing. Spencer reporting that there is something definitely not right with the car. As for the Ford, it's already gone fuel and tires for Joey Hand. They are checking the suspension and waving to the crew about the back of the car. There is a crew member signaling, no, there's something wrong in the back. So this will be a bit of a lengthy stop. Tragic, given how well the 55 was running earlier with Jonathan Bomarito.
Yeah, it was as high as third place on that car. They're looking at both ends of the car. There's clearly something not right.
Yeah, and has set the fastest lap of the race. That was with Bomarito at the wheel a little while ago on lap 58.
Albuquerque has just put his fastest lap of the race in, a 14.8, 14.7 for Jordan Taylor. So the two Action Express Run Cadillacs, very tidy indeed. The Spencer Pigot incident, he went across the curb at the carousel and picked up some debris from the inside of which curb on the right-hand side, which was thrown up through the louvres or the holes in the bodywork. Now, whether that was a piece of the curb or a piece of something that another car had left, I can't be definitive. In from third place in GT Le Mans, Porsche, number 911. In the car, fuel and tyre share?
That's exactly right, and they did enough fuel, they think, to get to the end. Well, at least if Joey Hand can make it, they're certainly going to try it with the number 911.
I think that's tight. An hour and 2 minutes. I think it's tighter for Joey Hand, but we know that those Fords can be tremendously economical. The EcoPass of EcoBoost, we've seen in the past, they seem to be able to make fuel. Spencer Pigot, by the way, is pulling out of the pits. No big wheel spin. I wonder if he'll turn hard left and go into the paddock. Shea Adam will be able to tell me. And Shea, has he turned into the back of the paddock?
He did,
Yeah.
unfortunately. More pit boards are starting to lower now, John. We've got the 3 ready for the Corvette. That'll be Jan Magnussen bringing it in, and I would expect taking it back out, as well as the 24, the BMW that sat on pole. That pit board is waving in the air, so Jesse Krohn will be coming in the pit. Here comes Jan, as if he was called, with the number 3 illuminated on the side of the car and on the door panel, as Jesse Krohn also into the pit lane. For the Corvette, it will be fuel and tires. The right side Michelin's going on first, and fuel and tires for the BMW as well. You know, if one person blinks, then all of them do. Magnussen stays aboard, as does Jesse Krohn. So no driver change going on, and now the pit board for our leader has begun to move. So that means Lawrence Vantor will be coming in here soon as well. They will do fuel and tires for the number 912 when Lawrence decides to peel off onto the pit lane.
Question for me in GTLM as the Corvette is down and away. In comes the 86 Alvaro Parenth, second place in GTD. Third and fourth place in GTD, following in as well. Check that, fourth and fifth, Brian Sellers and Lawson Aschenbach. So the 2 Acuras will be in together. David Ennemeyer Hansen and the Lexus goes back into second for the time being, but he's 20 seconds behind his teammate Dominic Baumann. Go back to GTLM here, Jeremy. What happens with the Ford now? How far does Richard Westbrook go? And can he stretch? How far can he stretch it? And will that mean a shorter final pit stop? Questions to be answered at IMSA Radio. On Twitter, in comes the leader from GTLM, and Westbrook's gone through to take the lead for Ford Chip Ganassi as Shea Adam is watching the Porsche pit stop.
4 new tires. They've already changed the front right. They had a very, very slow time. They're having a trouble with the front left, though, because he hasn't changed that yet. He's had to use a second wheel nut on that area. Cost them, though, because the fuel was still going on until about 2 seconds before Vantor left. So he came in with about a 7-second lead. It shouldn't affect it.
Yeah, smart work on the front right, which was a tiny bit recalcitrant. But the car has come back out now under the Acura bridge and heads back up the hill towards the keyhole. Just under the hour to go. GTD and GTLM cars possibly fueled to the end of the race, Jeremy.
Yeah, absolutely right. And yes, the number 67 car will need significantly less fuel on its final stop. So just see what sort of pace that Richard Westbrook can do. Meanwhile, in prototype ranks, number 31 car, Felipe Nasser, is at the wheel of that car at the moment. He has just moved past both the number 22 and the number 99 in the last couple of laps. So number 31 car up into 7th place.
Time to
pit lane now, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, really? Now that's interesting. So Westbrook only got a couple of extra laps, if that. Just a quick reminder of the Michelin post-race tech show. The checkered flag is the end of the race, but the beginning of the conversation. Points are rising, questions, observations, anything you'd like to get to us. Use the hashtag MichelinPRT to @IMSA Radio. And we'll be looking for your nominations for Spirit of the Race. So that is MOSOTR, Mid-Ohio Spirit of the Race, to @IMSA Radio. Let's have an interview from the pit lane from Porsche. He's Earl Bamber with Shea Adam.
A solid nomination for Spirit of the Race. The number 912 team as a whole, it's your last weekend with this chassis, Earl. How nice would it be to send it out with a win?
It would be really, really nice. I mean, we've been working very, very hard. I think we were robbed in Long Beach, really, really robbed, so that was hard to take, but we came directly after. We had a great test, and here I think we're the only GTLM team to test in the snow and the ice, but I mean, the car was great all weekend. We missed the pole, but so far in the race run, the car's been really good, and we saved a lot of fuel at the beginning to get the jump, and now Lawrence is doing a great job so far. And I hate this watching, because there's nothing I can do, and I just got to watch the last 57 minutes.
Well, hopefully you have some fingernails by the time the race is done. Good luck.
Actually, I'm doing better. I'm not biting them anymore, so they're looking good, but fingers crossed we make it to the end. And I think the team and the crew have done a great job. And actually the guy this weekend that bought the car is watching, so hopefully we can give him a good send-off.
So 57 minutes for a manicure for Earl Bamber down there in the pit lane. Change of position with Ollie Gavin battling away in the Corvette. That was the 4 car. And, okay. That was Magnussen ahead of Hand, excuse me, for 4th position. Richard Westbrook drops in behind Lawrence Vanteur. And Connor De Filippi is still out there in the 25 BMW, has yet to make his penultimate pit stop for RLL. That GTLM battle, there's some strategy being played out there, and I'm struggling to follow some of it, if I'm honest. But it looks like the BMW is going very long on this middle stint. Porsche have got track position over the Ford of Richard Westbrook, but only by about 10.5 seconds. And Westbrook, who knows how much fuel needs to go in these cars to get them to the end of the race. Have they got enough to get to the end of the race would be my question for the cars that stopped early in GTLM. Filippi still has to stop. Now,
yeah, no, I think they will, John. I mean, yeah, they work super hard on fuel consumption. They know they can get to the end. They might have to save a little bit of fuel, not run absolutely flat out. That is the kind of risk you take.
Battle for 7th overall, and in prototype, Felipe Nasr and Steven Simpson have been going at it. Simpson in the Gainscourt 99 car, going all NASCAR on Felipe. Side-by-side contact through the carousel last time around, didn't get it done. And sitting in behind them, Pipo Durrani's joining that battle as well. So that's 7th, 8th and 9th. Cadillac, Orica Global P2 car, and then the Ligier Nismo engine machine. So that's going to get a bit interesting. The leaders in prototype, all of the prototypes, I reckon, have got one more stop to do. It's a question of when and how much fuel goes in there. Ricky Taylor has turned up the wick, 5.5 seconds ahead of his teammate Juan Montoya, 7 from 6. Tristan Nunez another 4.5 seconds further back. And Ricky Taylor putting in great sector times at the moment. Out of 4th position in GT Daytona, Bill Oberlin in the 96 yellow and blue, Turner BMW, fuel and Continental tyres. And fuel and down and wait and go. So Connor De Filippi last stopped at lap number 46. We're on lap 82. That would suggest that potentially he could go to 92. 46 and 46 is 92, isn't it? Yeah, we've had no yellow flags. 92 is another 10 laps. That's another 10. That's another 8 or 9. 8 laps, I reckon, probably. In comes the 15 from 2nd, David Hennemeyer Hansen, for the last stop for this Lexus. And is that Jack Hawksworth getting back in, Shane?
Yes, they're putting the Hawk back in the car to round out this race, giving him 4 new Continental tires and a lot of fuel, because the Lexus fuel count is quite high up there. They threw the air gun back, didn't quite get it back over the wall, though, before the car is cleared to leave the pit lane. It still has the air jack in the pit box. I'm not sure if that'll be a penalty or not, but Jack is able to take the car back out and not run over any of his equipment, so that's one mission accomplished. The 14 Lexus, though, that car is due in any moment now, and now, as I say that, it comes in the blue car, driven by the 2 guys with red and white flags, the Canadian and the Austrian, and it is Dominic Baumann bringing the car in. He hits the mark, and they are doing fuel and tires for this one as well. Open the door. It's a drinks bottle change. They are not putting Kyle Marcelli back in the car. Dominic is staying. The front right tire is changed, as well as the left rear, and now they swing around to do the opposites. And fueling still going on, but all is clean down here in this stop so far for the leader of GTD, at least when he came in. A quick clean of the grille. It is a rather large grille on the Lexus RCF GT3, just waiting on the fuel. Fuel man still in. Baumann actually watching the fueler in his rear view mirror. Managed just to get away nicely. So that's Lexus done for the day.
I don't think they'll lose the lead there as he comes out hard. Better getting on for 20 seconds ahead of the field as he comes through. No sign of Hawksworth or Parent or Sellers. And it's Parent that comes through now. So it will be Parent who is in second place in the 86 car. Sellers has gone through into third. And here comes Hawksworth now as he crosses the line, just being passed by Tristan Nunes and heading towards turn 1. So Baumann out onto the racetrack, and Alvaro Parent then will be the man in his mirrors. Ricky Taylor leads by 8 seconds. Juan Pablo Montoya last time around, time before, put in a 14.2. 17.0 that time as Juan hit some traffic. Tristan Nunes 5.2 seconds behind in third. 7, 6 and 77. And the leader once again pulling away through the traffic. Tristan Nunes will have to deal with 4 GT cars.
That's right, and we saw again the pace, the ultimate pace of the Acura just a couple of laps ago, because Ricky Taylor out in the lead of the race just set a new lap record, a new fastest lap of 1 minute 13.85, just a little bit quicker than the Mazda has gone a little while ago. So Ricky Taylor out in the lead of the race, now extended that lead over Juan Pablo Montoya to over 8 seconds. The gap was about 4 seconds not long after the pit stops. It's now doubled at 8.6 seconds, and the gap back to third is about 7 seconds, which is what the gap between the second and third was about 10 laps ago. So that really hasn't changed. What has changed is Ricky Taylor is edging clear.
This GT Daytona battle is all of a sudden coming back towards Acura, with Alvaro Parent now just 2 seconds behind Dominic Baumann. That's first and second. Brian Sellers 7 seconds further back, and he's got Lawson Aschenbach, the second of the Acuras, the 93, right in his wheel tracks, just 3/4 of a second further back. Mazda just not able to keep the pressure on the 2 Acuras. And the Acura Sports Car Challenge looking good for the Acura branded cars. Could be top step of the podium in 2 of the 3 categories, both of the categories in which they are represented. Beautiful afternoon here at Mid-Ohio. 49 minutes remaining. Big crowd on hand. IMSA Radio live from trackside. Sirius XM around North America. IMSA Radio on the RSL audio player. RS2 is IMSA Radio via radiolemans.com. Got some streaming video and sound for you there, as well as on IMSA.tv and the IMSA app. Plenty of ways to watch and listen this season, all the way through to Motul Petit Le Mans in October.
Another lap in the 13s there for Ricky Taylor. He's now more than 10 seconds ahead of Juan Pablo
Call it 11
Montoya.
now.
Yeah,
Call
exactly.
it 11 seconds, Jeremy.
Yeah.
This is Ricky. Took a bit of time to get up to speed, didn't he, when he first got in that car?
Well, he was just being sensible, wasn't he? Yeah.
No need to fight in the middle of the race. And I said that at the time, you know, I think he dropped 7 seconds away from the lead. And I was thinking to myself, you know, don't be too hard on him. Is there a problem with the car? Does he not like the tyres? Or is he just playing himself in? And I think it was the third of those choices.
Yep.
And he's now turned on the Taylor effect. First of the Cadillacs is Philippe Albuquerque in 4th position. They're mired in traffic at the moment, with Jordan Taylor 7 seconds further behind. De Filippi, by the way, still out on track, working his 83rd lap. How long can he go? He was last in on his lap 46, or at the end of 45. In comes Andy Lally from 6th position. That's his second stop. That car's gone very long.
Yeah, he just actually lost a couple of positions as he came in. He was 4th prior to that, But he'll fall back down. Of course, he's not really in contention for this one unless there is a full course caution.
Shea Adam has just told me fuel, tyres, drinks bottle. And a tear off from the screen. Down goes the Magnus Racing number 44 Audi, and waiting for the fuel. Still waiting for the fuel. Andy looking in his left-hand door mirror to see when it comes out. The moment it does, he drops the clutch, snatches the pit lane speed limiter, or pushes the button, and cool, calm and collected, checks the dials, makes sure everything's all right. Hasn't even pulled his belts tight, he's stayed in the car, so that's not an issue. Releases the pit lane speed limit, a little bit of a slide, corrects that with a dab of Oppo, and heads off up the hill. Snatching gears on the paddle shift with his right hand, checking in the rear view mirror and the right mirror before he turns in to turn 2, the keyhole. Glancing up into his rear view mirror every couple of 3 seconds. He's on cold tyres. He wants to know what's behind him, so he doesn't cut somebody up or get taken out by someone who perhaps is a little bit impatient. Down towards 4 now. He's got a Lexus ahead of him. And that's the blue car. So that must be the Hawksworth machine. So that's interesting. How far has he dropped down? Behind Bill Oberlin as well. Did he drop off the lead lap there when he pitted?
Who?
Lally. He's dropped a long way back. But he's fueled to the end, as are, unfortunately, I think most of the guys ahead of him in GT Daytona. Might just need a splash for the odd one or two. 25 BMW, Connor De Filippi, on a Sunday afternoon economy run. But Shea Adam tells me that that car, well, at least that pit seems to be coming to light.
It is. The crew members have 4 brand new Michelin tires. They still have the nice shiny little stickers on them, and they have all the pretty holes and the little bit of tire rubber sticking up. They are beautiful. Connor will be getting them put on the car. But there is zero urgency down here, John. The fueler's actually just playing with the fuel hose because they are not expecting him to come in within the next lap or 2. They're letting Connor go. So we'll see just how economical De Filippi really is. He's trying to be a Westbrook, I think.
We refer to the extraordinary economy run that Richard Westbrook did over at Monterey at the Laguna Seca Raceway, when everybody up and down the pit lane and us in the IMSA broadcast booth thought that that car would need a splash. And Richard cruised around. We made the joke at the time that he was wearing pink, fluffy, bunny-eared slippers. He was so gentle on the pedals and managed to stretch the fuel to the end of the race. Connor De Filippi has done a very good run. He will be getting out the car, Shea. There's a driver on the wall.
There is a driver putting on a helmet and earplugs, which is normally a good indicator that it's not just to repair a drinks bottle. As a load of prototypes decide to come down the pit lane, there is a pit board hanging out by the 77, so we will be seeing Tristan Nunez in, but the 5 and the 10 have come down the pit lane. That's a Mustang sampling and the Konica Minolta Cadillacs. They are going to get fuel and tires, at least for the Wayne Taylor car. The 7 is also going to be coming in. It is the first opportunity that these prototypes feel where they can then make it to the end. And here is Ricky Taylor as he comes to a stop in his box. They are doing fuel and tires for the Acura as well, so they are matching what the Cadillacs are doing. The tire change going very smoothly, waiting on the fuel as half of the tires have been changed, waiting on the right rear tire right now. That is the one holding everybody up, but as long as the fuel hose is still plugged in, they're not losing any time. In comes the number 77, that's Tristan Nunez. Car comes off the air jack, still waiting on the fuel, getting every last drop. Now they're done. And it was a very good stop from the 7. The 77 doing fuel and tires as well. And the 77 did slide through its box slightly. I just had to turn behind because I saw that the BMW guys were starting to get a bit more feisty than they had been. It will definitely be a driver change, though. Alexander Sims put his earplugs in, and that is not something that we normally see when they do on their drinks bottle changes only. So that'll be something entertaining. A fresh driver for the end of the race for the 25 And for the Mazda, it was, well, not the best stuff, but they did get the car back out with fuel and new Continentals.
So that leaves Juan Montoya in the lead and needing his final pit stop. And what Shea was talking about there is that they're back timing to the end of the race here. So they know they can do 42, 45 minutes. So it's under that now. So get the car in case you get stuck on the wrong side of a safety car. In case you lose that track position that we added to the Porsche keys to the race. Now, how long will Montoya stay out, and will Penske and the Acura team split the strategy there? There's a pretty good stop by Mazda team Yost in the end, although Tristan just slid through his box a tiny bit.
Well, the 7 car will have needed a little bit more fuel than the number 6 car. It made it stop early on the last round of pit stops.
Mentioned for the 22, Pipo Derani has quietly been chipping away at that car's fastest lap time, got it down to a 14.3. This was a car that had a very early drive-through penalty, remember, when Johannes van Overbeek hit Robert Allon in the 85 JDC Miller Motorsport prototype. Now back up to 5th position. Steven Simpson in the pit lane for the Red Dragon, number 99. Should remember that Pipo and the rest of the 22 team are still racing with heavy hearts after Pipo's dad died a couple of weeks ago, and we pass on our condolences to that team and to Pipo in particular, as Juan Montoya comes in for his final stop. Looks like tyres are going to go on. It took a wee while though on the right front, so I'm not sure what was going on there, whether there was some kind of adjustment. So where is the 7 and the 77? Will they go back in the lead? It's down. They're winding off. Wow, that's interesting. They've got an adjustable wing on the front of that Acura, which I hadn't noticed before. And they had 4 turns off that car. So the new tyres on that. And here comes the 7 car. It will go back into the lead. Ricky Taylor is back into the lead off the speed limiter for Juan Montoya. The 6 drops into 2nd. Tristan Nunez has not passed us here. There he goes right now, but he is up to speed. He'll be heading into the first corner roundabout now. Where is he? There he is, behind the Lamborghini and the Porsche. The Lamborghini of Paul Miller Racing is Brian Sellers, and Pat Long is in the 58 Porsche for Wright Motorsports. Touch between the GTD battling 4th and 5th cars, Joey Hand and Jan Magnussen, Ford and Chevrolet, and they're side by side with the prototype going round the outside. The 67 of Westbrook is right ahead of them. That's 3rd, 4th and 5th as it stands, and the Corvette refuses to give ground and is on the inside for the left-hander as they go over the brow. They're still side by side. That's 3 corners that they've been side by side. The Ford will dive down the inside but can't make it happen. So Magnussen holds on to his position in 4th between the 2 Fords, but he had to work for it. And the Fords clearly not saving fuel here at all. They are turned up to 11. De Filippi still running around, and maybe 2 more laps, I think, for Filippi before he comes in. As Pipo Derani hits the pit lane for his pit stop with under 38 minutes to go. That will be the last call to the pit scheduled for the Ligier with the Nismo power plant.
Actually, for any of the prototypes, I think.
Is he the last man to stop, is he?
Yeah.
Right. GTLM getting very, very feisty indeed. Fuel and tyres. Derani stays in the number 2 Patron ESM car. Filippi 37 seconds ahead of Vantour, who's 10 seconds ahead of the battle of Westbrook, Magnussen and Hand. That's the GTLMs. So the 25 BMW, the 912 Porsche. I don't think they can get the pit stop done in that time, but they're risking it all, because if there's a full course caution now, that's gone.
Yeah, and 10 laps to go, the gap between those two was 33 seconds. So Conor De Filippi has pulled out an extra 3 seconds during that lap time. He will need less fuel. Don't think he has enough he'll need. I don't think he's going to be able to. I'm pretty sure he's not going to be able to make a pit stop and retain the lead. At least he's had a share of it. The question is whether he can beat out the second place car.
30. He's got about 37, 47. I reckon he's got about 47 seconds to Westbrook and Magnussen and Hand.
Correct.
And then about 52, 53 seconds to Pele. Those three are so close together. If he doesn't get in front of one of them, he won't get in front of any of them.
Yeah.
So that's putting the pressure on Team RLL when he comes in. Durrani confirmed as staying in the 22 as he rejoins just ahead of Sebastian Saavedra. I reckon that's 6th position for the 22 car. Albuquerque continues to improve the lap time of his car. 1:14.5. Big slide a moment or two ago for the 66 of Joey Hand, and a grassy moment coming through the kink. Lost the back end of the 66 Ford, and he's dropped away from that battle with Magnussen and his teammate Richard Westbrook, which is 3rd, 4th and 5th in GTLM. Red, white and blue Ford GT. The bright yellow front-engined Corvette, number 3, and then the second of the Fords a little bit further back now as through comes Colin Brown in the 54 Orenger in the orange, black and white prototype, the Flexbox sponsorship on the rear wing as he comes into the carousel and splits for a moment that battle in GT Le Mans. Ricky Taylor driving away from Juan Montoya and Tristan Nunez and Philippe Albuquerque, a 14.9 last time around. Jordan Taylor, the only other man in the 14s, and in fact, as he comes through this time, he's got to a 15.2. So the Taylor boys doing what the Taylor boys do, but this time not in the same car. Remember, they've been split up at the end of last season when Ricky went to Acura Penske Racing. Meantime, in GT Daytona, Dominic Baumann, 4 seconds now, the advantage on Alvaro Parent. So he's just gently squeezed away. Brian Sellers is a further 12 seconds back, and in finally comes Connor De Phillippi. And a new set of Michelins going on the 25. Shea Adam is watching the stop.
Fuel and tires, and that driver change that we were expecting, Alexander Sims getting behind the wheel, the car refiring up, coming off of its jacks and being cleared to leave the pit lane. That looked like a pretty clean stop by Team RLL, but where will he filter back out? The Porsche comes across now, and Lawrence Vantor, no, it was just a drinks bottle change. Alexander Sims tricked us all. It's still Connor De Phillippi, and his left-hand turn signal is flashing as he pulls off the pit lane speed limiter, and I think that's stopped, but the lead has changed. It is now Lawrence Vantor.
Fuel to the end of the race, but I think that the BMW got out in front of Richard Westbrook.
We don't want to watch the Porsche.
The Porsche number 912, he's away and gone. But what about Connor De Phillippi and Richard Westbrook, because he's on cold tyres?
Exactly, cold tyres, that's the key. Where are they?
They're all
Okay,
together.
here they are,
He
right,
did
good.
get out in front of them. They're coming down towards turn 4, and here comes Westbrook. He knows he's got an opportunity to strike while his tyres are hot, not while the iron's hot, and whilst the tyres on the BMW are cold, still with the left-hand turn signal on, and the back end of the BMW is all over the place, heading down through 5 into 6, as Connor De Phillippi is having to put a lot of energy into those rear tyres to hold on to it behind the 67 of Westbrook. This is the battle for second place in GTLM. Then it's Jan Magnussen. Then it's Joey Hand. If he loses one position here, he could tumble all the way down to 5th position. In second at the moment, though.
Yeah, he's liking that prototype in between himself and the pursuers here is Connor De Phillippi. He's battling as hard as he can to get those tyres up to temperature, get the pace up. And there's other prototypes here which could help him.
Jordan Taylor coming through the battle for GT Daytona 4th. He's just gone past Lawson Aschenbach now. He goes past Brian Sellers. Alvaro Parent is 15 seconds further up the road as he has closed in on Dominic Baumann. A couple of decent laps from Parent, and a new fastest lap of the race for the new American citizen, Steven Simpson, in the 99 Gainsco Red Dragon, 1:13.8, as Montoya does a 1:13.9 and closes into within 5 seconds of Ricky Taylor. That's the first time in a while that Montoya's taken time out of Taylor, but Taylor is in traffic in his defence.
I knew that car was going to be fast.
Yeah.
He is still on the lead lap, so you know if there is a caution in the final 30 minutes, well, he needs to come quickly in the final 30 minutes of this race, he could have an opportunity, Steven Simpson. We spoke to him earlier on this morning. He was going to take no prisoners. He reckons he could have had yesterday a class win in TCR in the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge. There was a horrendous mix-up in the pits, and then he got punted off by one of his rivals who actually lost the podium as well. He was mad. I mean, he was not a happy camper, and he wants to repay the kind of debt he feels he's owed to this JDC Miller Motorsports teams. He wants to get the best position he can here. He's still got 6 seconds, though, even to catch Sebastian Saavedra for 6th place.
To mention as well that Ryan Briscoe became a US citizen recently, as well as Steven Simpson, both in this race.
The guy who's making some ground also lately is Juan Pablo Montoya.
Yeah.
That gap now down to below 5 seconds. It was as much as 12.
Yeah.
Actually, that was before the round of pit stops. They were on slightly different strategies, those two, in terms of their fuel. But only 5 laps ago, the gap was over 8. Now it's down to less than 5. Well, it's actually now down to less than 4 between first and second as they complete 100 laps.
Ricky's just hit a big patch of traffic, which Juan still has to get. Tristan Nunez is in clear air, and he's just done a 14.1. That's that car's fastest lap of the race. The 85 JDC Miller Motorsport, the bright yellow prototype out there, Simon Trummer in that car, a 13.9, fastest man on the track last time around. So those global P2 cars do have the pace when they've got a bit of clear track ahead of them. I do think they've trimmed those cars out a little bit to give them some top speed. They do seem to be pretty pacey. Colin Brown did 70 last time around. Steven Simpson won 70 through the trap last time around.
Excuse me. They're a lot closer than they were to the DPI cars. That was their gripe, that they were losing a lot of time on the straights. Now they're a lot closer. As we saw up until the race, the Acura had been the fastest car through the speed traps, but the Oregon Gibsons were right there as well, and clearly the slowest were the Cadillacs.
Yes. You're listening to IMSA Radio, live from trackside. I'm trying to be the voice of calm at the moment as we move into the last 30 minutes, because I don't think we'll have the calm for very much longer. Possibly the calm before the storming finish here. A Sunday afternoon, which has been far from quiet and peaceful here at Mid-Ohio as IMSA returns for the first time since 2012. Attracts a huge crowd. All the headlines are good, and the racing has been exceptional. You will notice there's a significant point about this race that I have not mentioned, and I'm not going to mention it now. I'm not going to get the blame for this one. I think 90 seconds is our Curse of the Commentator record so far this year on the Radio Show Limited network. And that was, I think, Diana Binks in one of the International Endurance Series races that we were covering earlier this year.
And Conor De Filippi at number 25 BMW, not only has he managed to stave off the attack from behind, he's certainly some very good lap times as well, and there's only 6 seconds now between the race leader, that's Lawrence Vantor aboard the Porsche number 912, and the number 25 pursuing BMW. 3 laps ago, there was 9 seconds between them. Now it's 6. I have to keep an eye on that one for sure. In GT Daytona, Baumann leads by only 3.3 seconds over Alvaro Parente, the number 86 Acura of Michael Shank Racing. And in 3rd place is Brian Sellers in the championship, leading Paul Miller Racing Lamborghini. In 4th is Lawson Aschenbach, the 2nd of the Meyer Shank Acuras, and then Jack Hawksworth, who's about 4 seconds behind and charging hard and trying to get back up into perhaps the podium position.
In GTLM, Lawrence Vanteur by 6 seconds, the 912 Porsche from the 25 BMW, which ran very, very long. Conor De Filippi doing a great job. Richard Westbrook in third position, 3 seconds further back, and he's got Magnussen and Han for company in respectively the 3 Corvette and the 66 of Ford. Ricky Taylor leads by now just 3 seconds after being held up by Ollie Gavin. Just had to follow him for a few corners, and that's cost him some time as Juan Montoya closes in. 7 from 6 from Nunes in 77, waiting for Tristan to come through, and it's now only 17 seconds between the top 3 as Nunes has closed in on both of the Acuras ahead of him. That's your Cadillac update with 26 minutes to go in the Acura Sports Car Challenge. Cadillac update because real racers never take a break. Grandstand finish, tick, I think here. Everyone fueled to the end. Take out any variables about pit stop. This is a knockout fight going into its final rounds. I was talking in boxing analogy the other day about a heavyweight fight, the early rounds, a bit of jabbing, a bit of dancing around, a bit of trying to feel out your opponents. Well, we're heading into the last couple or 3 rounds now, and it's pretty tight on points. So someone is going to have to start swinging and land the big blow. Taylor, 15-7, 16-4 for Montoya, 14-7 for Nunes and Albuquerque, and 15-7 for Jordan Taylor.
And the GTLM, Lawrence Vantore has got the message now, because he's just got a best sector time for that number 912 Porsche, still in the lead of GTLM. The gap had come down below 6 seconds last time around, so Connor has been edging closer and closer, but now the edge will be taken off that brand new set of Michelin tires that he had. I don't think he's going to be under any great... Oh look, Magnussen's got ahead of Joey Hand. I hadn't noticed that.
No, me either. That must have just happened.
In fact, the 67 cars fallen behind both of them, hasn't he? Richard Westbrook.
That's what's happened.
Yeah,
yes,
see
that's
what happened.
So Richard Westbrook drops
on
out
this last lap, John. Yeah,
drops out of third, down to 5th. It was very close. He's dropped a bit of time there, so there may have been a bit of a schmozzle somewhere.
Look, his lap time is at 1:24.4 for Westy. The others are all doing 20s.
Yeah.
So he must have had an off somewhere. Was that it there? No, that's the other car.
Well, I know that the 4 car had the leader behind it for a while. There goes another gaggle of cars. Albuquerque, 14-5, 14-5 for Jordan Taylor. They're 8 seconds apart in 4th and 5th position. The leader, Ricky Taylor, heading up the hill. And he's just got past which of the Corvettes? He was in behind Ollie Gavin for quite a while, so I presume then that must have been Jan Magnussen. Meantime, the leader in GT Daytona and the leader in GTLM are together on the circuit, past the big crowd. That's the Madness area, 4, 5, 6, 7, through the S's under the Acura bridge. There's going to be some very nervous people at Acura, at Lexus, both looking for their first victories in IMSA competition in this new era of IMSA.
It's only a couple of seconds now between the 2 race leaders, isn't there, all of a sudden?
Yeah.
And that's primarily, I think, because the race leader, Ricky Taylor, is kind of bottled up behind Pipo Derani.
Yeah, and he's just put a lap on him. That's the 22 car going a lap down. People was working very hard to stay on the lead lap. That's his right to do that. That I don't have an issue with. He's trying to stay on the lead lap in case there's a full course caution. What we saw earlier on was 1 or 2 people several laps down, or at least who had already been passed by the leader and was holding up the battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th.
Correct.
And that to me is less acceptable. Ricky Taylor then with 22.5 minutes to go. That's what separates him, Acura and the Penske organisation from the top step of the podium in the race that bears their manufacturer's name. Montoya backing up Ricky Taylor, 7 from 6, 2 seconds at the line. The 6 car now, though, with the problem of getting by Pipo Derani, trying to head off into the battle for the lead.
Stephen Simpson's now caught up with Sebastian Saavedra at number 52 and number 99. He's pulled quite a long way now ahead of Felipe Nasser in car number 31. So that battle for 6th place is on between Saavedra in the Ligier, car number 52, and Stephen Simpson in the Orica, car number 99.
Quick reminder, with 20 minutes to go, we'll be staying on the air on IMSA Radio RS2 with Michelin post-race techs, and for Michelin PRT, that's the hashtag. Questions, thoughts, comments, moments of the race, things that you've noticed perhaps that you want to bring to other people's attention. Answer me this: was it worth coming back to Mid-Ohio? I say a resounding yes, yes, and thrice yes.
Yes, indeed.
IMSA proving that they're going to headline their own event here at Mid-Ohio, which they had done for a few years, even the last time they were here. So hashtag Michelin PRT.
Pipo Derani then trying to...
Oh,
No, Pipo, no, don't like that. He's already lapped down now, game given up. Let the other guy go through.
Agreed.
There's no point in that. They were side by side. Okay, you know, there was a moment there where he pulled out. He probably didn't see the fact that the second prototype Montoya was alongside him. That's fine, but then he did know they were side by side, and at that point, I think he should have let him go. But no harm, no foul. It's just going to give Ricky Taylor a bit more breathing room, which he probably deserves, because he'd been held up by Durrani before. So at least Durrani is being
consistent,
equal here to the two Acuras. I guess that's fair enough. In the meantime, I'm looking at that GTLM battle. It's now under 4 seconds between first and second. Van Toor, number 912 Porsche, and the BMW Conde Felipe. Here's a replay of what I was just talking about.
yeah, and he's pulling out to pass the 63 WeatherTech Ferrari, and the initial part, the blue flag's waving. People quite within his rights to think, well, the blue flag is for the Ferrari, and I'm going by the Ferrari. Oh, hang on a second, there's a bloke on me outside. And it's at that point that Jeremy is saying that really at that point he's got to back out of it. Now what will be, I think what the guys up in the race control area will be looking at is what happens when Montoya gets back to people and how helpful he is at letting him through with under 20 minutes to go here at Mid-Ohio. Parenti dropping away from the battle for first in the battle of the manufacturers, the Japanese manufacturers at the head of GT Daytona, Dominic Baumann, who has done a cracking job. He took over that car when they came in. He was that car was 5.8 seconds down, and he took the lead and stretched it to his teammate, and now he's fighting Alvaro Parenti, who's had a great stint in the 86 car, having taken that over from Catherine Legg, who did a brilliant first stint to keep that car in with a chance. Brian Sellers 13 seconds further back in third. That's your championship leader. That's good points for the 48. They knew they didn't feel they had a car to win here. Talking to Brian yesterday when he was part of the broadcast crew for the Lamborghini Super Trofeo, and they said what we want here is to take the points that are on offer. And I think if you'd offered them, offered Brian and Madison Snow and the rest of the team, Jeremy, third place finish in class before the start of the race, and said, right, you can go home now if you take third place, they'd have said, yes, please.
Yeah, I agree with you, because that's how championships are won. It's consistently good finishes, and they've been on the podium each of the two races so far, including the win at Sebring. So another podium here. Oh, yes, thank you very much indeed.
Wherever you are in the world tuned in, I know there's a lot of people over in Europe who were at Spa yesterday. Hopefully we'll have our results at least in the same day that the race took place, which couldn't be managed the WEC yesterday. Wherever you are, I hope you're enjoying this. It's been a classic at Mid-Ohio. Great to be back here. Keep the questions coming in. Hashtag Michelin PRT to @IMSA Radio. Into the pit lane for Ryan DL. That car's been off sequence, and that is its fourth stop, however. Durrani's just put his fastest lap of the race in. Nasser's just put his fastest lap of the race in as well, in 8th and 9th position. Nasser trying to stay on the lead lap, of course. He's the next guy who'll go a lap down to Ricky Taylor. 16.5 minutes to go. Porsche, BMW, Chevrolet and Ford, your top 4 in GTLM, 10 seconds between them. I'll guarantee you, though, that someone will still complain about the BOP in GTLM in Michelin post-race tech. No, no and no. Porsche, BMW, Chevy, Ford, top 4. And actually they are, separated by 10 seconds. 9.981 seconds.
And there's a blue sector time that time for Conor Di Filippi in the second place. BMW chasing after Lawrence Van Tour. The gaps not changed much over the last few laps. 3.5 seconds this time around between first and second. The gap from second to third about 4 seconds. That's edged out, but only by a few tenths of a second over the last 4 or 5 laps.
Montoya back out to 3.2 seconds behind his teammate in the battle for first and second, as Ricky Taylor has just gone by Bill Oberlin in the number 96 Turner BMW. Nunez, 25 seconds away from the leader. Yeah, Montoya's just put that car's fastest lap in.
Again.
Jeremy, 13.9.
That's right.
But, you know, is it too little too late? There'll be no team orders, by the way, at Acura. I can't imagine that will happen. They'll be allowed to race 2 seconds between them. The only possible team order that they might have is hold position at this point.
Yeah, they'll certainly say don't do anything stupid, that's for sure.
Yes,
that will be an instruction.
Yes. Shea's just said that would be the implied team order. I think Roger Penske and Tim Cindric never imply anything. They actually say it. And
it's pretty clear, yeah.
Yes. They are still racing drivers, all of them, in that car, in those cars. Parent just pulling back 0.6 again to Baumann, yeah, under 4 seconds again now. That's yo-yoed that a little bit, and that's, you know, that is going to be slightly frustrating for Parent. He was quite close in the early part of the final stint, but couldn't make the pass then, and Baumann just edged away. But Parent coming back, that 86 Acura, very good at the end of its stint, and it's only got 14 minutes to go now on the Continentals and on the fuel. BMW's running in 2nd and 8th here. I will say again, the whole field in GTLM in a race that has been flat out from the start is only 36 seconds apart, despite everything that's going on. Steven Simpson closing on Sebastian Saavedra, and that is a battle for position, and it's a battle for 6th position.
Right, and kind of best in class, if you like, or best of the non-DPIs. It's not a separate class, but best of the DPIs.
Best global car.
Yeah. And it's been a really good performance, I think, by AFS PR1 Matheson Motorsports with that Ligier. They've been the fastest of the global P2 cars much of the weekend, certainly qualified ahead of everybody else. Steven Simpson might have set a better lap time in the race in car number 99. In fact, set the fastest overall lap of the race, but it's still been an excellent performance by this number 52 team. They've had some difficulties over the last year or two, but it's great to see AFS on board with this team, with these two talented drivers, Gustavo Jacquemin and Sebastian Saavedra, and they are thoroughly enjoying their sports car experiences, particularly Saavedra, for whom it's relatively new. Gustavo and Jacquemin, not so much, of course.
Check in with Shea Adam. It's been a quiet half an hour or so as far as our Continental Tire pit lane reports is going on, and drivers who aren't in the cars are making themselves scarce at the moment. Shea, anybody looking worried at this stage?
The Lexus crew, they have been in a position before where they have been leading, but it's not this far into the race. So there's some nervous faces down by the number 14 Lexus, and Kyle Marcelli looked like he didn't have any nails left. And as we heard from Earl Bamber a little bit earlier, he hates just waiting in this section. But up on the other end of pit lane, the MSR crew with the number 86, they are just praying that somehow the number 14 Lexus falls back into the clutches of Alvaro Parent and gives him an opportunity to make a pass for the win, because really, what would be better for the Acura Sports Car Grand Prix than an Acura winning in not one, but two classes?
PR writes itself at that point, doesn't it? Pipo Derani close to getting his lap back a moment or two ago as he closed in on the leader in traffic. Still got Juan Montoya, or has Juan Montoya coming back to him after that little side-by-side incident 3 or 4 laps ago, coming in on the, closing in on the last 10 minutes here, Jeremy.
Yep. And yeah, there's all sorts of interest in this race, isn't there? Because we've got all sorts of battles. That GTLM is just 2.5 seconds. No, 2.5 seconds now between the Lawrence Van Toor BMW, Porsche and Connor De Filippi's BMW. Chevy is in third place, the Ford in fourth. 1, 2, 3, 4. Porsche, BMW, Chevy, Ford, like that.
Yeah.
And in GT Daytona, as you say, that gap from first to second, Dominic Baumann now less than 3 seconds ahead of Alvaro Parent in car number 86. And also the other Lexus, Jack Hawksworth, is close up onto the tail now of Los Ascherbach in number 93 Acura. That is a battle for 4th position in GT Daytona.
Very good drive back by Hawksworth. If you add up the gap between first and second in all the classes, it's nowhere near 10 seconds at the moment. It's about 7 or 8, if that. Well, and I say that Montoya's just lost a little bit of time, but at the end of the last lap, let's say, Ricky Taylor just taking it steadily at the front, not having to push too hard. Montoya is the one who's chasing.
Yeah, but when he does have clear laps, he's fantastically fast, is Dane Cameron. Really impressive.
Yeah, Ricky Taylor and Dane Cameron have really impressed me. I mean, you can't fail to be impressed by Juan Montoya and Helio Castro Neves. They've done so much, but you've got to say that their teammates have more than pulled their weight this weekend. Maybe that is the next Penske generation.
2 seconds between those first two? No, it wasn't. It was 1.4 seconds.
1.4.
Yeah, I thought so.
That's in GTLM.
Yes,
Jeremy saw them go by our broadcast centre window. Van Toor is looking over his shoulder now.
As you would say, target acquired.
Oh, absolutely. Got the beeping in his ears there.
Yeah, the juices are flowing for Connor De Filippi.
And Connor needs absolutely no encouragement. He'll be driving that BMW. He stopped last. He's the one that stopped last out of all of the GTLM cars. So in theory, he's got the freshest tyres.
Absolutely.
And he's got exactly the right amount of fuel to get him to the end. Probably no more or no less.
Yep.
Hopefully no less.
And as you're talking, as you say there, he knows how important it is for Bobby Rahal.
Oh, yes.
Ohio. The team is based in Hilliard, Ohio, on the west side of Columbus, just an hour or so from the racetrack here. So this is very much the home racetrack for that team. Huge amount of success they've had here in the past. And the shop where Team Rahal is based, or RLL is based, that was originally owned, of course, by Jim Truman, who took over the ownership of this racetrack from Les Griebling and ran it for Red, the owner of Red Roof Inns for many, many years. And so the circle is complete. Adding to that cycle, Tim Cindric, the president of Acura Team Penske, or Team Penske in general, he used to work at that shop, and he married Megan Truman, so who was part of the ownership group here. So it really is tight, this motor racing business, isn't it?
It is. Our Porsche keys to the race: traffic and patience. Be clean in the pits. Watch your tyres. Get track position and manage the fuel. I'm now going to sit. Everyone's been pretty patient. We've seen some aggressive moves, but we are yet to see a full course yellow. There you go, it's my fault. Shea Adam down in the pit lane with this Continental tyre update from Acura Team Penske.
Well, John, I think you've just thrown a cheetah amongst the pigeons, not just a cat. But we were talking about people who look slightly nervous. Well, as I walked down toward the Acura Team Penske pit box, I noticed that Earl Bamber couldn't stop shaking. He was moving his right foot back and forth a lot as if he wanted to be driving the car. But taking the cake would be one H. Castro Neves, because Helio is too nervous to even sit down. He keeps leaning back and forth, shifting his weight as he's watching the screen of the battle. Tim Cindric, on the other hand, looks cool as a cucumber. He has everything in control with what's going on, but Elio not quite buying into it yet. He's not counting his chickens before he hatches, and if his excitement level is anywhere near what it was yesterday when he won the pole, then stand back, ladies and gentlemen. We have a few fences around here, and I think he might just climb them all.
Over in France at the moment, it's 20 minutes before 10 o'clock in the evening, and hello to Angus Fox, who's watching on his phone on hotel Wi-Fi. He says, what strikes me, beautifully presented cars, great colours, easily identified, sleek design, filmed fabulously, and somehow the light in the afternoon at the circuit showing them off perfectly. Yeah. Oh, and it's a great race too. Angus, you're absolutely right. And thank you for taking some time on your Sunday evening. Not sure what you're doing over there in France, whether you're working or having a weekend off, or that is where you call home. But thank you for spending some of your Sunday with us here at IMSA. Truly international Motorsports Association, particularly with IMSA Radio and IMSA TV together. Danger time again for Ricky Taylor as he comes onto Joey Hand, who is 4th place in GTLM and gets by him. A little wiggle of the Acura as the rear Continentals, perhaps with only 6 minutes to go, are beginning to come to the end of their working life. Ricky, oh, he's got a lot of pickup on the right front, Ricky Taylor. Could see it through the gap in the right front fender. 25. De Filippi under a second and a half as they head up towards the keyhole. The Porsche of Laurens Vanthoor, which stopped at lap 74 and is now working, lap 113 for Laurens Vanthoor. This is a long run, and Filippi is closing in. The GT Le Mans win is by no means assured for Porsche, with Magnussen only 8.5 seconds further back. If there's anything that goes wrong here, he might swoop as well. Joey Hand 7 seconds further back. Porsche, BMW, Chevrolet and Ford. Remember, back to warm-up, Vanthoor was out there with a very soft foot indeed, looking for fuel-saving areas in this circuit. Well, he's going to have to defend. He might not have any choice. So now, can he hold on for 3 more laps? And just by the way, again, for those, and I know everybody, particularly in GTLM, are very proud of the marks that they follow. But if BMW can get the win here, that will be the 4th different GTLM manufacturer to win this year. And we've got 4 different manufacturers in the top 4, and the whole field are within 30 seconds on a full green race after 1 hour and 36 minutes. 4 to go. And bear in mind, by the way, if it is BMW, that's 4 race winners in 4 races. Into the pit lane. Corvette has come in. I questioned whether that car could get to the end. It was one of the first to pit, and it will be a splash of fuel only. Ollie Gavin came in on lap 67. 4 seconds of fuel, and he's gone.
Yeah, that's the 7th place car, though. It's not the number 3 car remains in 3rd place.
And they have an extra 6 laps of fuel on board. So that might get him to the end. Oh, a bit of a problem for De Filippi. The 2nd place GTLM car caught up with battling prototypes as the slowing him down in the places he needs to be fast. He's got the leader coming up behind him as well as Ricky Taylor goes through. This is a golden day in a golden age of IMSA. And not just the sunshine, the crowd, but the competition is reaching new heights. And the battle that we wanted to see since it was announced that Roger Penske and his organisation with Acura And Reinhold Joost and his organisation with Mazda, since they were announced as coming back into IMSA competition, we wanted to see them go head-to-head, and they've done it today. And it's been extraordinary. No safety cars to close the field up as Ricky Taylor comes around. The white flag is being readied, but I don't think he'll get it this time. No. It'll be this one and one more. Vantour and Connor De Filippi, 1.5 seconds between them. Filippi goes through now, and it's 1.3 seconds. And the leader's gone through as well. So the leader is ahead of the GT battle, so they're on the same lap now, so they won't get an extra one. White flag next time around for Ricky Taylor, who all of a sudden has 8 seconds on Montoya. Montoya has dropped away, and Ricky Taylor has got this one in the bag now. Just over 4 miles of running. Inside the last 1 minute in GTD, it's down to a second. Parent is right with Baumann. Filippi right with Vantour. Durrani right with Philippe Nasser for 8th and 9th. So there's still battles out there. And the leading car, Ricky Taylor, is eased right off. A 17.5 last time around. Juan Montoya, 8 seconds back, is not the threat. Now, are we going to see somebody unlap themselves on the last lap here? Helio Castro Neves looking slightly worried as the 31 comes through. Nasser, Philippe Nasser, has got Durrani with them, and those guys are racing. They're racing for position. And they may yet have to race past and unlap themselves from the leader, the 31 Whelen car. And here comes Durrani up the inside into the second corner. The leader will be held up. This is going to get very interesting indeed, in a way that nobody expected. And Ricky Taylor might just have to squeeze a little more performance out of the Acura. We're on the last lap. The Acura Sports Car Challenge had an all Acura front row. Durrani and Nasser battling for position behind the leader. And Parent is right on Baumann as they went past us for the win in GT Daytona as they start their last lap and go through turn 1. The blue Lexus and the grey urban camouflage car. Parent may have timed this perfectly. De Filippi was 1.5 seconds last time around behind Vantour. That might not be close enough.
Dominic Baumann leads the race then, but his co-driver, Kyle Marcelli, he's already got a race win under his belt this weekend, yesterday in the Continental Sports Car Challenge.
Out of the final corner, the Acura Sports Car Challenge is won by Acura. Front row lockout, first and second. Ricky Taylor and Helio Castro Neves will take the win. The battles for other victories still going on. Halfway around the last lap, they're absolutely together in GTD. Lexus looking for their win and trying to take it from them. Acura down the inside under the Acura bridge, trying to go round the inside at turn 7. That's not going to help. Alvaro Parent may have shot his bolt there.
Another local team, of course, Meyershank Racing, based on the east side of Columbus.
Down into the last couple of corners, I think that the 14 and Dominic Baumann have done enough. Oh, here comes Parent again. He doesn't know when to give up. Brakes super late. It's a short dash to the line. And Lexus are going to take their first victory. Acura denied 2 wins here. Helio Castro Neves is the pole sitter and the winner here at the Acura Sports Car Challenge, as Ricky Taylor has taken the checkered flag.
Well, for Helio Castro Neves, it is flag to flag. And what does he do after he celebrates with his crew? He runs up to celebrate with the 6th Helio race winner in IMSA. How good does this feel?
Oh my God, it's unbelievable. This is an incredible team effort. Acura Team Penske did a phenomenal job. I'm just so proud to be part of this organization. And man, what a great battle. I mean, not only myself, but also obviously Dane and Juan Pablo and then Ricky. Wow, what a job. Great job, Team Penske.
First of many wins to come. Congratulations.
I hope so. Thank you.
Well, they locked out the front row and they've locked out first and second. It's Mazda in 3rd position with Tristan Nunez anchoring the 77 car home. That was a great run for Ollie Jarvis early on. No yellows. You lost money on that if you put the each way bet on, didn't you? My goodness, what a cracker. Ricky Taylor does a great job. His last lap is 16.8, but at that pace, he was cruising. All the hard work done earlier on in the traffic, managed it beautifully. Our Porsche keys to the race, be patient in traffic. Everybody was, no yellow flags, no full course yellows there. Be clean in the pits, manage your fuel and tyre and get that track position. In GTLM, Lawrence Vantour brings home a win for Porsche, but just by 1.6 seconds. Earl Bamber was the man that started that car.
It was 566 days ago that Earl Bamber got his first win in the U.S. That was at Circuit of the Americas. That race happened 1 year ago. Now you've got a win at Mid-Ohio. Congrats. Are you able to breathe again?
Yeah, I'm able to breathe now. I mean, that was an amazing race. I have to say thank you to the whole Porsche team. Like I said, since Sebring, we've been on a roll. You get out, Lawrence is pretty happy. You know, and it's fantastic. Long Beach got away from us, so this is, I think, what we really deserve there. And now we've got good momentum. And Lawrence did an amazing job. I mean, he did bloody awesome to hold off the BMW because they were super, super quick. But, woo, I mean, I'm super pumped for this one.
A win going into Le Mans. Good luck there.
Yeah, that's going to be good. So now the next big one. But we've got Nürburgring next week. Don't forget that.
And we will see him there. If you want to follow Earl and the other 18 drivers who've raced at the IMSA event here at Mid-Ohio, the 19 of them going to the Nürburgring for next weekend's 24 hours. We'll have full live English language coverage in sound and vision. RS1 for the audio and RadioLeMans.com for the vision. We'll start on Wednesday with midweek motorsport. That is at our usual time of 10 o'clock. Of 8 o'clock in the UK, that's 5 o'clock East Coast time. Dominic Baumann hangs on for the first win for Lexus by 0.18 of a second. Absolutely extraordinary. Carl Marcelli started the car, and Shea is down at 3 GT Racing for this Continental Tire Pit Report.
Well, Kyle, holy moly is right. This is your second win of the weekend. You know Mid-Ohio well. You were able to give 3 GT and Lexus their first win in GTD. How's it feel?
I mean, what a day, what a weekend. You know, huge thanks to Lexus, huge thanks to 3 GT Racing. This is a team effort. You know, today was not easy. Dominic had to work for it real hard at the end. You know, it's hot inside the car today, and it's busy around Mid-Ohio. You know, there's not a lot of time to rest. So, I mean, the Continental tires were great today. Our RCF GT3 was awesome today, and to win 2 races in a weekend's a dream. It's a dream come true. Thank you.
Is this the momentum that the team needs to carry forward to launch a championship effort?
I sure hope so. I mean, we were excited to come into the sprint race portion of the season. You know, at Daytona and Sebring, we had good pace, we had a good car, just strange mechanicals got in the way of a good finish. So, you know, hopefully that stuff's behind us and we can get some good results going forward.
Great job today, Kyle.
Thanks a lot.
Jeremy Shaw is doing the quick arithmetic. We'll have the provisional championship standings in Michelin Post Race Tech, which comes up next on IMSA Radio RS2, part of the Radio Show Limited network of channels. My thanks to everyone here at Mid-Ohio, to XM Sirius and our other syndications, and of course our colleagues at IMSA TV, both here at the track and up at Charlotte, for giving us the pictures so that we could see all around this fantastic circuit. But the biggest thank you has to be to everyone who's turned out here at Mid-Ohio to make the IMSA return so special. The Acura Sports Car Challenge has been an absolute cracker. We'll be on the streets of Detroit for the next race for IMSA, and you'll be able to follow all of that here on IMSA Radio. But don't forget, next weekend, the Nürburgring 24 hours and ELMS live from Italy. 2 channels of action. No need to miss any of it. From Mid-Ohio, for those of you here at the circuit, thanks for having us, and we'll talk to you again from Detroit, the next round of the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship.
Okay, it's a... You put the Continental hats on for our TV?
Oh, yeah.
Guys will stay right there. Get in there, Paul.
Welcome. Welcome. Great job. Great team effort. Great job for both you guys.
Paul, get between them. Get between them for a quick
Oh, no, I don't. You don't need to.
Yeah, we do. Come on, one. One, please. All right. Win number one.
These guys did it. John did it. They did it.
I want to get on this side.
What? Jeff, come on in here.
Absolutely.
Well, I just had to take a moment there to get my breath back from such a brilliant race here at Mid-Ohio. We're in Michelin post-race tech. Let's get straight to the battle at the head of GTLM. All the Michelin runners within just on a minute of each other by the end of the race after that late stop by Ollie Gavin. Connor De Filippi, great tactics from BMW, takes second place, just a second and a half back from the winners.
And for Connor De Filippi, it was an exhausting end to the race. Connor, you said you were so drained by the end of that. You were giving it everything you got, literally. Couldn't even get out of the car.
Yeah, it was a 2-hour stint. It was like a 2-hour sprint race. Excuse me. And yeah, I had a little issue in the cockpit with the drink line, and my left leg cramped up a little bit, which I'd never experienced. So definitely something to learn this weekend. But so proud of these guys. Our home race, another P2 finish. Really had a good car this weekend, especially in the race. Just can't thank them enough, and we'll keep learning, battling forward, and get that first win sometime here soon.
Yeah, 2 seconds on the season. That's not bad. Good job today, and we look forward to seeing you at Watkins Glen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shay. We'll take some more from down there in the Victory Circle area where the guys from Acura are reasonably going completely bonkers. We're in Michelin post-race tech. We'll be answering your questions and looking at some of your points. We'll get to that in a moment after some other points. The points for the championship, Jeremy. Provisional at this stage, obviously, but how do things stand?
Well, should we start in GT Daytona?
Please do.
The championship leaders, Brian Sellers and Madison Snow, with that third place finish today, will extend their championship lead. They now have 95 points, I reckon, over Catherine Legg and Alvaro Parent, who are not slated to do the full season, but they're currently second in points, only 8 behind. And they are 7 ahead of Ben Keating and Jerome Blakemolin in third place. Tied for fourth, Cooper McNeil and Alessandro Balzan, and Jack Hawksworth and David Heinemeier Hansen. So that is in GT Daytona. In the manufacturers' points there, Lamborghini have now got a pretty handy lead of 12 points over Acura, with Lexus just 2 points behind them. 1 point behind Lexus Ferrari, 1 point behind Ferrari is Mercedes-Benz. Moving on to GTLM. Richard Westbrook and Ryan Briscoe, despite finishing 5th here, will maintain their championship lead and actually extend it. With the same. 121 points to them, 114 for today's winners, Earl Bamber and Lawrence Van Toor, so 7-point differential. Up into third, Joey Hand and Dirk Mueller remain third. Tied on fourth, Oliver Gavin, Tommy Milner, and Jan Magnussen, Antonio Garcia. Manufacturer points are interesting in GTLM. Porsche will vault from third to first on 126.
Oh, wow.
Ford dropped to second on 125. Chevy third on 123. And a BMW fourth on 120, so very, very tight there.
Yeah. Let's have a quick word with Catherine Legg, who did a cracking opening stint for Acura. A second place for her and Alvaro Parent, set up by some brilliant driving early on from Cat.
And for Catherine Legg, it's not supposed to be a full season. Sorry to interrupt really quick. Just wanted to have a quick chat with you because you're not slated to do the full season, but you're second in points after today. Cracking first stint out there in the Acura, and Alvaro almost got him at the end. Might we see you again before Watkins Glen? Please, please, please say yes.
I don't know the answer to that. I hope so. I know that everybody at Acura is working on it. I know Michael Shank Racing is Maya Shank Racing is working on it. And yeah, it was a great race. I don't think we had the ultimate speed to win outright, but I mean Alvaro was right there at the end, so he did an awesome job. So proud of him, so proud of the entire team in front of our home crowd. And yeah, I was just talking to Madison because we were having a bit of a fight at the beginning there, and yeah, it was just a great race. Very, very proud of everybody involved.
Should say that you were talking to Madison, both of you smiling on your faces, so it's nothing bad. There's no grudges going forward.
No, actually, there's a lot of mutual respect normally, apart from when Brian Sellers throws water over me.
It was aimed at me, in fairness. He's got really bad aim, apparently.
Okay, apparently. he's coming back, and I'm a little bit scared.
Did you expect a full green race? Sorry, I have to ask, did you expect a full green race?
No, we didn't. We were planning on when the yellows would be, and we were working strategy. We did not. It's unheard of, but you know, that's kudos to the level of the drivers and them coming up and not doing anything stupid. So it was actually really tricky with the prototype traffic. I didn't come across any GTLM cars, but the prototypes, you know they're racing, and when you can fit one through at a time and you're messing up the gap, it's like you're racing, they're racing, and it's really difficult to judge that. But all ended okay in the end.
We'll really hope to see it, Belle-Isle, the site of your win last year. So fingers crossed on that.
Yeah, really. I think it would be great to go back and do that again, but we will see.
The Catherine Legg there next to the new victory lane. Jeremy, a quick look at the other points.
Yeah, into the prototypes then. Joao Barbosa and Philippe Albuquerque finished 4th today. Will maintain and extend their championship lead over teammates Felipe Nasser and Eric Curran, but to 10 points now, 119 to 109, with the 5th place finish. Jordan Taylor and Renke van der Zande will move into 3rd on 104. In 4th position on 98, today's race winners Elio Castroneves and Ricky Taylor. So that's 21 points off the ultimate lead for them. And they are just a couple of points ahead of teammates Cameron and Montoya. And then tied for 6th, John Bennett and Colin Brown, and Misha Goikhberg and Stephen Simpson, and Oliver Jarvis and Tristan Nunez. So that's pretty tight as well.
IMSA TV viewers are about to leave us. You can carry on listening to Michelin Post Race Tech on IMSA Radio via IMSA.com, the IMSA app, or RadioLeMans.com. It's on channel RS2. We'll be back at Detroit with more sound and vision for you wherever you are in the world. Make sure you join us for the next round of the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship.